Hello, everybody, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here on this lovely Wednesday, and we are back in the world of 6&Twenty Metropolis. And with me here is our lovely cast and crew. You've seen them for several weeks. Let's introduce those guys and jump into this game. We'll start with the ever-prepared Miss Ninja. Who are you? Where can we find you? And who are you playing today?
I am Xmas Ninja, and it's a pirate's life for me today, as I am joined by Captain K. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know that Flora knows how to swim, and I also don't know that she knows how to get herself out of this situation. But she likes rum, and this guy's nice, so...
Yeah, he seems like a nice guy.
Avoiding.
That's true. Also seeming at first like a nice guy, Sam. Who are you? Where can we find you? And who are you playing today?
I'm Sam. Twitch.tv/wasn'tfool. Twitter at @DWasn'tfool. I play JP, but instead of talking about JP, I just want to talk a little bit about how disappointed I am, because I only really had one job this week: to not learn a game that I've never played in my life and never really planned on playing. I didn't learn this game really well. I really don't know how to play the game. But unfortunately, because of Roll20, all of my hard work is going out the window. So
It's been a real disappointment of a day. If I could,
I'm Sam. I'm playing JP, who's much nicer boy than I am, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Someone who's not a nicer boy than you are. KW Frags, who are you, you sassy boy? Who are you playing today, and how much trouble are you going to get JP into?
JP is going to get into all the trouble because I am playing Scratch, and Scratch is a lover, not a fighter, and he's not really all that good of a lover. But yeah, he's that's who I'm playing. I'm KW Frags, Twitch.tv, KW Frags, and Twitter, whatever. If you want to do those things, it's cool. You don't have to. It's whatever.
Art imitates life, right?
Right.
Speaking of which, Johnny, who are you? Where can we find you? And who are you? Well, no, what are we doing today?
Who am I? I'm Johnny, Video Store Cowboy, the GM for 6&Twenty. Glad to be back. Troubles on everywhere else. I'm glad that we're back to this particular show. And I am going to apologize in advance, of course, to Sam specifically and to Frags, but to everybody else as well. As we tried, I spent a lot of time this week kind of playing with the cards on in Roll20 to be able to actually represent a game of Old Maid. It's not going to happen. We'll kind of go into what we are going to do once the game gets started. But I do feel bad, Sam, because I know how important it was for you to not do anything about it.
On the real though, I totally understand, because the Roll20 card interface is rough.
Yeah, I mean, well, so and there's also a slight other element that I'll talk about once we get into the game. But there is one other element that I couldn't feel like we could represent correctly when trying to convey the actual card game. If we ever discover something else, I would love to recreate that one scene in that particular way. But there's no way we're going to do it. So, anyways, that's me. Hashtag Pro Steamer.
Yep. Before we jump into the game and I hand this over to Johnny, I will learn how to hit that unmute button. And I will remind you guys of the ways you can jump in and interact with the game. If you check that donation section down below, you guys can donate for Nat 1s, Nat 20s, NPCs, weapons, and all kinds of fun stuff. So feel free to do that. It helps support the channel. And if you see along the bottom of the screen, you'll see the followers, subscribers, and retweets. Every time we hit that goal, something fun happens on stream and also helps the channel. So do that stuff. And with that, Johnny, take us away to the Metropolis.
Previously on 6&Twenty Metropolis. Discovering that Gideon had left to make his way to the mysterious island, Malcolm decides to rally the Lost Boys and go rescue him. However, he discovers that some of the boys are missing, and that includes Tink. Grabbing JP for help, Malcolm discovers that Samuel has initiated the game for him. Rescue the kidnapped Lost Boys. Asking Flora and Scratch for help, the crew splits their efforts and goes their separate ways. Scratch and JP go directly to Samuel, while Malcolm and Flora head to rescue one of the kids from the park. When it turns out that it's Tink in the park, Malcolm whisks her away quickly. Flora, on the other hand, decides to follow an interesting lead in the park and finds herself transported onto a pirate ship. Meanwhile, Scratch and JP make their way to Samuel directly in his favorite bar, which I believe it was the Crossroads in the Old Quarter, and discover that he is keeping himself sort of out of the way of things while the kidnapping game is going on. He's playing a game of Go Fish. When Scratch asks him for a bit of information, Samuel decides to offer an opportunity to gamble it, but changes the game on Scratch. Instead of Go Fish, it's Old Maid. And so we fade into that little back room inside of the Crossroads where a table is being set and there are 3 players at the table: Scratch, JP, and Samuel. Now, I'm gonna break out of the narration real quick and talk a little bit about what we're gonna do here, and why the other reason why we did not actually go with playing using the cards. So the first thing is what we're going to do is we're just going to narrate what's going to happen. We're going to talk about how the game is going, and it's going to be based on just some very simple dice rolls. We'll talk about different hands and how you do that. The other element of this is, and the reason I couldn't easily represent it, even if we were to figure out how to get cards to work, is that there wasn't a way to easily include sort of the dynamic nature of some of your power tags and your abilities to actually do something like change the game. So I couldn't easily set up like one set of cards, for the deck and then have that change to either your advantage or your disadvantage depending upon the rolls, and just have like a separate deck just sort of ready to go. So that's the reason. That's the other reason why we're not doing it. So as we get started in here, we're just going to sort of fade back in as the cards are being dealt at the table. Scratch, what's it like playing cards with Samuel?
It's eerie because Samuel doesn't always win, but he's very good at bluffing. And he will make you, no matter how good you are, he will make you second guess your own decisions in your hand. And it's also really smoky because he'll smoke cigars in there and just chief them up. I don't know. It's a weird thing.
How often did Scratch find himself at the table with Samuel playing cards?
Oh, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, if we were having a night, if Samuel was performing, the end of the night was usually playing a hand or two.
Excellent. Now, real quick question for JP. Is JP a cards kind of guy? He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would be into board games and card games.
No. So JP doesn't play cards, but I think it's actually weirdly working in his favor just because he looks so nervous and out of place in the whole situation. That's kind of a little bit hard to read what he has in his hand because he doesn't know what he has in his hand. He doesn't know the game. So like he's looking at these cards and it's like, it doesn't matter what he has. He just still looks nervous. So it basically is all going to depend on if he gets good cards. Because if he gets good cards, it might look like he's like really good at bluffing, but really it's just because he has no fucking clue what he's doing.
Right. All right. So we're fading into the table as the cards are being dealt for the first time. The way that Old Maid works is basically you deal out the entire deck. You discard the things that you have pairs for, and then the rest of the game just sort of goes as the players are kind of working, and very much in a similar to a go fish kind of a fashion. Moving through this, Samuel just kind of picks up his cards and kind of looks over. So, Beauregard, I understand you're working for Oscar Bjorn now. How's that going?
Working is a stretch. I sing for the man, if that's what you mean by working. He asked me to do some favors, and he puts me up room and board, so I help him out a little bit here and there.
I don't know, Beauregard. That sounds like a very similar circumstance that we had. Is he going to make you one of his right-hand men? Is that your plan, to walk on the side of angels?
I believe I was given a choice in this matter. And I ain't gonna be nobody's right hand no more. See, I done got me a left hand, and I'm gonna be my own appendages. I'm a whole person with 2 arms all by myself and a head.
He's just trying to make a metaphor that's not there.
He Samuel kind of looks over at JP and says, I understand you're already in the employ. You did say that, correct? You work for Harold on occasion?
I'm a contractor.
You are? Okay. So does that mean you work for Bjorn Industries all the time?
No. I help out Gallows, and I've always liked books. So I help out at the library too.
The library? What do you do for Foddy at the library?
So here's the thing: is I actually don't know what I do for Foddy. We've never talked about that.
I'm giving you carte blanche to tell the story here. I'm also interested to figure out what you actually just missed, what he just said, he implied to you. So I'm very curious how that comes out.
So he's gonna say, this and that. Sometimes I help him find overdue books. So someone's got to shelve the books, and every now and then, who knows, someone tries to get in the library. I can help with security. Kind of wear many hats.
I understand that's a pretty big problem, he says.
You visit the library often? Right?
Beauregard and I have occasionally checked out a couple of books. Isn't that right, Beauregard?
Yeah, Sam. We like to read.
Oh. Looks back at Beauregard and he says, okay. So, what are you really doing here? You made it very clear that you did not want my interaction, even when we were on the phone this evening.
I need you to
just miss me?
Kids.
You know how the game goes, Beauregard. Those kids, they're mine now. Mine or...
I've seen this child, this Malcolm. And I can tell you digging a hole you ain't getting out of, Sammy. You keep pushing this any further. That boy's gonna be the end of you.
He shrugs. Okay, so to determine who's actually going to win this round or this hand, we're going to go 3 rounds. We're going to roll a d6, and whoever gets the highest wins. So go ahead and roll a d6.
Are you rolling for both of us?
No, you're going to roll independently. Because remember, the deal is on the table. Whoever wins against him, gets or loses against him has that. Oh wow, okay, interesting. So. Hand kind of plays out. Beauregard, Scratch just kind of, lays down his cards. And he kind of knocks his knuckles on the table. You hear a little bit of a rap and from his knuckles. And he looks at Beauregard and he says, well done. Done. And you usually do better when you've played a couple of hours. But you started off with a little bit of luck tonight. Bring any lucky charms with you?
I'm gonna forgo the obvious joke here.
I got heart stars and horseshoes, clovers and blue moons. That's just how I roll, baby. JP here, he's got my...
I forgot the rest of them.
Good night, everybody. Pots of gold and rainbows and red balloons.
I knew it was pots of gold. I balked after that and couldn't think.
Okay, so he kind of smiles at you. All right, that's 2 out of 3, and he starts to deal the cards again,
As is
And we're
tradition.
as is tradition. And we're gonna cut to Malcolm. Malcolm, where are you? You just arrived back, and not everybody is there, but you did deliver tank.
Well, there I am, Johnny. Obviously, you just answered your own question.
My God, I'm asking you what you're doing next. Jesus Christ, gosh.
Yeah. So I am at my secret lair.
Is it really a secret?
Shut up. You don't fucking. You don't know. You don't know my life. What? Who was there? The same people that were left there before?
Yeah. So the only 2 that are missing now is one of the twins, and then in I believe it was Slightly that we decided that was the other.
Okay, so everyone else is back then.
Yes,
Minus
everyone
those
else
two.
is back except for one of the twins.
Yep, and Slightly. Okay. So Flora's a big girl. Malcolm has the map. He knows that Scratch and JP went to the funeral home. I go to the diner.
Okay.
I tell everyone to stay here. Yes, you have to stay here. You have to watch her. There was a circle, and then there was a, and then she was like, and I grabbed, and I was like, oh, and I was going, and then I said, no, I can't go in, and then I grabbed, and I was like, I gotta go, and I flew away, and then Flora Lady will be back here, and if she comes back here, just tell her I went to the diner. What was it called? The R&R?
The R&R Diner.
Yeah, I went to the R&R diner, and then if the Scratch guy and JP come back, don't give me any pizza, and then tell them I went to the R&R, and then I'll be at the R&R, and you guys stay here. Okay? Okay. And then he opens the door, slams the door closed, and he kind of looks around. What time is it?
It's the middle of the night.
Okay. He leaps into the air and flies towards the R&R diner.
Okay, so as you arrive, you see that it's a 24-hour diner. It's in the blue-collar district, and there is a fair amount of activity inside. There are a bunch of different skulls scattered throughout the establishment. As you're kind of looking through the window, you can see that one of the twins is there eating what looks to be a gigantic amount of pancakes, just kind of stuffing them in his mouth. All of the skulls scattered around the restaurant appear to be just kind of watching, kind of keeping an eye, but they're not dressed normally in their leathers and their jeans and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually wearing suits with armbands that have the skull emblem on them, but otherwise they're all wearing black suits with white button-up shirts and ties, and some of them are wearing Wayfarers.
Is everyone all of a sudden shades from Luke Cage? That's
not quite what I was going for. There was actually a different reference I was working
also
towards.
spot on.
But also spot on, yes. Didn't like that guy.
Oh, I
He's
love
jerk.
that guy. Shit. How many are there? And
There's
are
about
there
50.
and 50? That's a big number. And,
That's right. It's a big number. That's exactly what I was going for.
and are there regular people also in the bar?
It's not a bar. It's a diner.
diner,
It's like think of it like a Denny's
Yeah,
or
yeah.
you know, like yeah.
Like an old-timey diner.
Yes. No, there's nobody else besides the wait staff kind of working it.
Like the diner from Riverdale. That's what I'm picturing.
No.
That's a shame.
I will give you the reference that is in my head, and it should tell you a little bit more about where this is going.
The Peach Pit from 90210.
No.
To the Salte.
Do you remember the diner at the beginning and the end of Pulp Fiction? That
Yes.
big sort of.
Okay.
Yes, that's what the R&R diners look like. In
All
the
right,
city.
cool.
Can I have a sip of your $5 milkshake?
Someone made that second time I heard that reference today. I'm not even kidding.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I went to a. Sorry, this is really off track. I went to like a fruit bowl place where they make fruit bowls with like oats and stuff, like healthy stuff, and they have milkshakes. And my coworker said that, and I was like, girl behind the counter was like 18. She did not get the reference.
That's fair.
Oh, but so okay. Let me be very clear. It is not Jack Rabbit Slims. Not everybody around is not some like Buddy Holly or James Mansfield or Marilyn Monroe. No, this is that place also exists somewhere in Tinseltown. Let's just be clear, that place does exist in this world. This place, on the other hand, is very much your average diner. And it's about the size of the place in Pulp Fiction at the beginning and end, where you see, God, what were the two characters' names? Like not Vincent and Jules, but the other two, the ones that rob the place. Anyways, okay, that's what the place looks like.
I am Nart. I'm Nart, the smartest boy. Can I look around? So here's what I want to do. I don't know how Malcolm would do it. The building gets power somehow. I want to know how.
I feel like this is an investigation.
I feel like it is.
But there's something I think that works in Malcolm's... works to Malcolm's advantage. And then the thing I'm going to use is the reference to the situation when he does the investigation with Harold Bjorn. And everything starts to change.
Okay.
Because he uses his imagination. So I think Malcolm can figure things out or sort of figure out how to make things work or do certain things because he imagines it that way.
Okay. Okay.
So the investigation seems to work, but it's more along the way he imagines he would be able to figure it out.
Okay. So how about this? How about it's easy to find the transformer or the fucking box in the back of the building, right? I want to change the game. With finding the thing that all the wires connect to, I want to change the game with what you just said. Do you want to know what I want to change?
Well, I'm trying to figure out so there wouldn't be a transformer there, right? There would be lines running into it, right?
Right.
Right into the place.
Right.
Or there could be conduits underground, some certain...
Well, it's going to be electricity meter, right? There's going to be a meter. So.
There is going to be something. So yes, right. Malcolm would easily be able to figure that out. Okay, so what do you want to do to change the game?
So Malcolm doesn't understand how electronics work, really. So I want to change the game and make a Roger Rabbit style on-off switch on the meter, and then just turn the power off, like the big. You know the thing.
This is absurd.
I know.
don't want to play this game anymore.
You have a child who pretends things to life. What do you want me to do?
I mean, sometimes the junction boxes actually have like a...
They do, I know. I used to have one. I used to have one for fun.
Okay, you can change the game.
Okay, I'm going to put imagine things to life.
Okay.
Hold on. You wait. Bangarang. Every scam in the book, and everything's a game.
How does every scam in the book apply here?
It doesn't. I tried.
Trying to sneak one past him, man.
Sensitive to think missed would be the only one if you deem it appropriate. If that's a weakness tag. I don't think he's stressed right now. I think he's on a winning streak as far as he sees it. And he just saw Slightly was clearly not causing trouble. And the other one is can't tell adults from pirates. And in his mind, everyone in there is a pirate except for the one kid. So that seems pretty fine to me.
Okay, I'm okay if you want to apply that weakness tag. There is going to be a story tag in play.
Okay. Is there thick mist in this area? Is that a thing that we're doing?
No, there is not. There's not thick mist in this area, but you can apply it if you want because
Okay.
There could be elements of it if you want to, that I could play into it if you want to apply that. But there's not something specifically in the scene.
Okay. Now
there is, however, a negative story tag, which is doesn't know the rules.
Okay, so we'll do a -1 for that.
Yep.
Which should mean I have it.
Those are the rules to Samuel's game.
Okay, let's find out if this actually works this time because my shit wasn't working before. So I have a 2 power right now, and I'm going to change the game.
Nope, don't do it.
It's still not working, but that should be a 12.
All right, here's the thing. After I narrate this scene and we get through this, I'm going to create you a separate character sheet or use one of your other character sheets and see if that actually is a problem. Okay. I wonder if it's only you because everybody else is not having problems with it.
Yeah, it seems to be me.
Well, I think it's just that character sheet. So yeah. We should test another character sheet. Anyways, okay. So imagine for us, Malcolm, with your 3 juice, because it's a great success.
Yep.
what you want to imagine for us. Describe it in detail and spin your juice.
So he's flying. So he kind of swoops in, right, and he gets like a lay of the land and can see through. I assume there's like big windows on the front of this place, right? And he can see what's happening, and he kind of flies high, and he's looking, and he sees the pole. He understands that electricity comes from the pole, and it goes to the building, and he just sees where everything kind of goes, and he sees the junction box, and he doesn't want to fight 50 people. There's a lot of people, and no one's here to watch him be super cool and fight all 50 of them. So that's boring. So he flies down to the junction box, and he's just looking at it, and he's trying to figure out how to turn the power off, and he knows that in his head, he knows that this is going to turn the power off. And he's like looking over it, and he's looking over it, and he puts his hand on something, and as he puts his hand, it just kind of forms underneath his hand, and it's just a big red lever that says on, off. And he takes it, and he slams it down to off. So the first tag is going to be, I believe I created a story tag, which is the switch, right? The on-off switch. So there's no power in that building. I assume all of the, hey, what the hell's happening? As all the lights kind of shut off. Man, then I have so much stuff to do. You know what?
I will narrate other elements that happen, but I want you to get through what you're going to do with it first.
So
and if you want to hold on to stuff.
He slams it shut, and then I'm going to hide the effect, and as soon as he lets go of his hand, the lever's gone. So that it can't be easily turned off. And then I'm going to prolong the effect.
How are you? Okay, so you've done a really good job narrating it appearing.
Yep.
You've narrated how it's disappearing. Explain to me how you're prolonging the effect.
Well, if you don't have a lever to turn the power back on, you can't turn it back on, obviously.
Sure, but that doesn't mean that it's... I need you to imagine me how that's going to happen.
So in the real world, how that would happen is you lost power to a building, you now have to call the electric company and have them come out and fix this. So it's prolonged for the entire scene.
Okay.
Your power doesn't turn back on when a magical boy turns her power off. It doesn't just turn back on with a snap of your finger.
Having not known any magical boys... I'm sorry, what, Sam?
Said that happened to me last week. I had to call the company. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, you had a magical boy come out, turn his internet off.
Oh, no.
Did that same magical boy affect Alex? Or sorry, Alex last night, from his? Because it seems like it's a phenomenon. It's a thing that's going around.
Guys, can that be the official new excuse for Metropolis? I don't know, man. A magical boy did it, and then we were fucked.
Turn off my internet.
I was busy. Someone else got their power turned off by a little boy. Sorry.
Why can't you make it to Wednesday's game? I had an encounter with a magical boy. And then...
No, it's not just a magical boy. Malcolm was fucking with my power again. Malcolm shut down my internet.
Random magical boy came up, boop, said, nope, not today, bitch.
Swords through the engine of my car.
That's what I was going to do. I was going to sort it, but I was like, you know what? I'll imagine it away.
Magical boy it away.
I'll magical boy it away. Okay, so, Johnny, what happens next?
So, for Malcolm, turning the power off, he flips the switch, power goes down, the button disappears. All hell begins to break loose inside as people are, you hear, a bunch of exclamations of, hey, what the hell's going on? Malcolm's really proud of himself, kind of puts his, hands on his arms, and he looks around, and the rest of the neighborhood is also out of power.
Perfect.
And emergency services are starting to engage as you hear sirens off in the distance, and you see some flashing lights down one of the streets leading away from the R&R diner. But there's a fair bit of commotion, and you can hear that a couple of people are slamming out the front door and beginning to look, kind of come around the corner towards the backside of the building. What is Malcolm doing?
Okay, so I don't know what to do to make this happen. I guess it could be sneak around. So the whole room is covered in darkness, right?
The whole room is covered in darkness, and the whole area of the blue car. This whole area, basically a couple of blocks are out.
Okay, so So Malcolm, his first thing is easily to snap the thing, and then he flies to the roof where he knows no one's gonna get him up there. At least he thinks so. So here's what I want to do. You tell me what move to use.
No.
Okay.
I'm just telling you no.
One of my abilities is to detach my shadow. I want my shadow in total darkness to swoop in and grab slightly and take him out.
I hope that works.
Me too.
We created a magical. You had a magical boy moment. Now you just created a magical boy.
I make magical boys all the time. JP makes magical boys all the time. If he can do it, I can do it. Yeah, I didn't know what to roll for that. Like,
I hear frags in the background coming in over your mic. It's hilarious.
yeah. No, I know. I live with it.
Okay, so I'm not sure what the right move is here, because
I mean, take a risk is the go-to because it's like a 50-50 shot, right?
It's more than just a
yes
50-50 shot, right? Because here's what's going on in my mind about this, right? The fact that you want to create a shadow in a situation where there are absolutely no shadows.
Right.
We could say that in this scene that as all the lights go out and around the area, maybe the moon is out and that's what's creating your shadow.
Okay.
But given the fact
nighttime.
that that's the only thing out that's kind of there, it seems like a pretty risky kind of an affair. So I feel like there's a couple of negative story tags that'll be applying here, regardless of whether you get the moon, as that or you find another way to do it. So take a risk seems like the right choice, but it also could almost be face danger because you're doing it in a situation where you would never ever do it otherwise. Because without and I'm okay with either. I'm only presenting it as whether it's face danger or take a risk, the results will be slightly different in respect to how I narrate what happens. Right.
Okay.
So it could be either or. I'm ultimately going to say it's on you. You could even potentially say change the game, but those negative story tags are definitely going to are still in play. I mean, regardless of whichever move you want to do it. So you've got those three options on the table. It's ultimately up to you.
I feel like so I'm reading the thing for face danger, right? And it's basically just like negate damage. It's pretty much all it does. So I feel like that would mechanically not be the right one. Possibly hit it with all you got, I guess, if that's like a...
Well, so I would assume... So here's why I'd say, are we ready? Are we really going to be able to speak, though?
Yep, we are. Go ahead, go. We're live.
I don't even remember where we are. Somebody remind me.
So I'm going to roll something. So, guys, what happened was... Fuck if I know. I have no idea what happened. All of a sudden, all of my internet just went, nope, and noped right the fuck out. And then everyone else in the house is also noped out. And then it's back.
Is Rhino home?
I think he might have just left.
Yeah,
I think he just yanked it as he left.
It's his fault.
Yeah, I believe.
I thought he just got home.
You think so? Maybe. Either way, our internet just borked up. So we're back now. I was rolling something, Johnny.
Were you now?
Yes.
Okay. What was it you were rolling? I believe it had to do with the fact that you were going to just to separate your shadow. That's right.
Yeah, the separate the shadow thing. And we were trying to determine what I should roll. I think I had said, the last thing I had said was possibly hit it with all your gut.
You did say hit it with all you got. The reason, so I remember where we were. Okay, so I was explaining why I thought take a risk made sense. Or sorry, no, you said take a risk, and then I said face danger. And the reason I said face danger is because you're separating your shadow in a situation where there's essentially very little light. Moonlight might be essentially the only thing that we determine that could work.
Yep.
So there might be an element of real risk in you hurting yourself in some way, shape, or form, or having a status tag or a story tag of separated shadow kind of a thing.
Okay.
So it's again, and I'm going to leave it up to you. There's also an opportunity to say change the game. But I'm going to need a little bit more narrative from you in that respect. But either way.
No, I kind of
like, however you want to play it.
I like face danger. That sounds cool because that could add some sweet story elements. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use flight because the shadow is gonna fly, I assume. I'm gonna use shadow manipulation, loose shadow.
What does loose shadow and shadow mean?
Separate my shadow from my body. You know how your shadow always connects to your feet, kind of like like the movie. Before I do it, I'm gonna so he kind of knows what's happening, and I'm gonna activate Crow Call, and then I think that's all I got. Those 4 tags.
Okay, so we're gonna say.
Oh, you know what? Everything's a game. This sounds fun. This is a cool new fun thing. I don't think I've ever done this before.
Never done this before.
I've never torn my shadow off to rescue a person before. This is new and fun.
It's not on the level of stop holding back, though, right?
No. Stop holding back was I tore someone else's shadow off, and that got pretty dark.
I remember that, but okay. So, but this is a situation where you're actually you're
Oh,
using
yeah,
your shadow to physically manipulate somebody in the real world.
So I've used my shadow to manipulate other things like unlock doors, and I've removed my shadow before. So this isn't a new thing entirely. It's just I've never used those things in this combination to this extent. So
that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are going to be 2 story tags in play here.
Yep.
Don't know the rules.
Yep.
And total darkness.
Okay. So I have a
+3. It sounds like
+3, and I'm rolling face danger.
Yes.
So that should be +3. So that would be a 12.
It doesn't matter regardless. Okay, Malcolm, narrate for me what happens.
Okay, so he... Big red switch disappears. He hears the noises. He flies up to the top of the building. The moment he lands on the building, he just looks up, probably towards the moon, right? As he does it, and then his shadow gets longer and longer and longer in the light of the moon until it just snaps off his feet. And you just see a long human-sized shadow just kind of cascade down the building. Somehow it's a little bit darker than the rest of the darkness around him. And what no one sees is anything. But what happens is the shadow kind of swoops in, think like the movie. And it's appearing on different sides of the walls, and it's its legs kind of bend at those weird shadow angles. And as everyone's in a scramble, it looks for Slightly and just sort of swings by and scoops up Slightly. Actually, you know what? For cool narrative effect, it grabs Slightly's shadow and yanks him, and Slightly just drags with it, as if I grabbed him by a cape, and he's getting pulled out of the building. But I'm sure he probably heard that crow call, so he knows something's up. But yeah, it grabs him by the shadow and is dragging him out, and then dragging him by a shadow up into the air.
Okay, so the shadow gets in and starts to grab and pull, right?
Yep.
But inside, there are emergency floodlights on.
You shit.
And so
you shit butt.
The shadow begins to grab Slightly, or grabs one of the twins, because it's one of the twins actually.
Okay.
Grabs one of the twins and it begins to pull him down and start to pull him. And skulls begin to scramble as they see what's going on, and they start to move towards him. And Malcolm is aware of what's going on here. Because his shadow is able, he's getting the intuitive, sort of information from his shadow about this.
Okay.
And as that's happening, we're going to cut to Flora.
Dope.
Flora, how you doing?
I mean, I feel great. There's rum, and I'm having a nice conversation.
Who are you having a conversation with?
Captain K.
Captain Colin K? Okay, so the boat, the ship that you're on, you're in the captain's quarters of the ship that you appeared on once you went through the portal that you found at the center of the park, at the same location where Tink was.
Hey, just real quick, Ginge. I know you hit on the cop guy, and then you hit on JP, and then you hit on the bald guy.
I got information.
Could you not hit on my dad? That'd be great.
Don't hit on his dad.
Because you don't want to call me mommy, or is it because you think I'm creepy?
Both.
Do it.
Those were real life answers.
I'm going to give you the encouragement that Flora should hit on him. Make Malcolm as uncomfortable as possible.
He's a positive female role model, and clearly he doesn't listen when I'm not his mom. So I'm just kidding. I'm not.
You're not my real mom.
I was gonna say something real fucked up. I'm gonna reserve that for later. Yeah,
So-
she's just, her mouth's just open, sitting there with a glass in her hand when he says that.
Okay, so just for a little bit of a refresher, just to make sure I remember, has Malcolm ever talked about his dad by name? But
as far as Flora's aware, he's never talked about his dad. Only
Yeah.
JP would know anything.
But JP would probably end up sharing.
She would just, the name would
Yeah.
be weird, and the fact that I'm here after seeing him.
I feel like it is not a huge leap
Yes.
For somebody
She's
who's
not
on
gonna-
a
she
weird
doesn't know
magical
that. She's
pirate
just
ship.
like, wait a minute.
Like a weird magical pirate ship, the same last name as Malcolm.
And you're
You don't-
obsessed with fighting pirates, adults who you think are pirates. She's gonna look to him and say, what did you say your last name was?
Kay. My name is Colin Kay. Why is that so strange for you?
I don't see any women other than myself aboard this ship. Then again, I didn't go around looking.
Recruiting for this type of journey, no woman found it appealing. Besides, it's better this way.
What makes you say that?
My wife is below deck. She's very ill. She would not be able to entertain.
How many hours till sunrise?
We've been traveling in this darkened sea for a really long time. I don't even know anymore. I can't remember the last time I saw the sunrise.
That's a shame. I may have been able to help her.
What ails her is at the end of this journey.
Did you two
But-
ever have children? I know that's personal, and we just met. But I'm here, and I'm clearly not going anywhere anytime soon.
He takes a huge pull from the jug of whiskey that he's drinking from, reaches into his desk that he's got there, pulls something out, kind of looks at it, and you can see that it's a framed something. You see him sigh heavily. He slides it over to you as he takes another long drag off the jug. And in that picture, in that frame, you see two young children. One probably 3 or 4, a girl, blonde hair, and one 7 or 8, imagine. Looks very familiar. But you can't quite place it. There's something that's just a little bit off about it.
I think I was sent here to help you. And I understand you don't have, I'd say many, but any women on the crew. But I can handle myself. And if I'm here, I may as well be useful.
Where we're going, men or women, really don't matter. The journey, and you see that his eyes kind of get like distant for a second as he's looking off. The destination. The destination may be my folly as much as my wife's.
Where are we going?
I heard tale of an island where there's something that might help her. Legend says different things. A source of water, a mysterious cup, an amulet. All of these legends, even a sword, all of these legends are said to be found on this island. But we entered this darkness so long ago, I'm not sure when it will ever end or if we'll ever get there. I just know that it's coming again.
Well, it's odd that I'm ever the optimist at this hour. But I think we'll get there. I'm not particularly worried about whatever it is you're worried about. But like I said, I'm here to help.
And with that, the entire ship jolts and shakes from one side to the other as you hear the creaking of wood and you hear screams coming from outside of the cabin.
Flora's going to, as the ship tilts, she grabs the bottle and her glass to make sure they don't fall off the table and kind of just sits there waiting for it to stop. And then we'll grab the bottle. Now's a good time as any. I hope you don't mind borrowing this.
It's okay. When this begins again, it'll be replaced. And you see him stand up, take a huge swig off of the jug, place it down. He sighs and he says, now I'm going to face my death again. And steps towards the door.
She's going to follow him out.
He swings the door open and you both step outside. And across the bow, or across the sort of the deck of the main ship, there is a tentacle kind of laying across, as there are various men with swords dressed up looking very much like pirates slicing at this thing, as others are trying to secure the rigging and make sure that the ship doesn't get scuttled immediately. And he looks back at you and he says, survive if you can. I'll see you the next time. And he pulls his sword and moves in for the attack.
Are there any swords nearby that I can?
Oh, there are plenty of swords back in his cabin.
Are there any cool hats nearby? This is important.
He has a full wardrobe, including some nice, jackets and some boots. There's even some nice, jewelry, maybe some, dangly earrings with jewels at the end.
Yeah, no. She just wants a cool hat.
Okay, what kind of hat do you want?
I don't care. Just a hat. Whatever
You
he's
find
got.
a hat.
He just picks off the first hat and puts it on.
It's a very flamboyant sort of a thing. Think
Like Three
something with a
Musketeers?
big sort of like ostrich feather, colored red.
Done. She plops that on, takes a sword, cuts into her hand, coating the whole blade in blood, and goes, "Let's do this," and follows him out, and just runs back out after him.
Okay.
She's
And
gonna.
with that, okay, as you make your first slice, that's where we cut back to Scratch and JP. Second hand has been dealt.
So does a tie go to the house?
Always. And Samuel smiles.
Oh. So did I win?
No, that was Beauregard.
Does Samuel own this place? I thought.
No, but I represent the house. You know that, Beauregard. Everything is mine in this place.
Bulger.
Now. All right, I think I'm figuring out how to play this game. I think I'm pretty quick when it comes to this stuff.
Don't play much cards, do you?
What? You said we were gonna play Go Fish. I know Go Fish.
I didn't say anything about playing Go Fish. I said the game was old maid. You must be a quick study, though. No. What is going on here, guys?
I don't know. I thought you were talking to JP.
I was talking to JP, and JP stopped talking to me. I was like, what's going on?
I want to try to cheat to help JP win a hand.
Oh, don't do that. All right, do it. Do it. I love it.
All right, do it.
Okay, so you're going to change the game here. This is really interesting, actually. Okay. So what are you going to do before you actually start changing the game and giving me power tags? How the hell are you going to change the game here, Scratch?
Scratch might have palmed a few cards. When Samuel wasn't looking, and he's just gonna kind of try to slide him under the table. Like when he's gonna lean forward and put his hands like this, and his left hand's gonna have the cards underneath the table. He's gonna lean over to JP. And, you really need to step your game up. And hoping that JP senses what he's trying to do, because he's gonna be kind of wiggling the cards underneath the table.
I'm just going to say, the way you describe that, it almost sounds like take a risk, but I definitely think it's a change the game. It just sounds like you're taking a risk there. That's all.
If we have relevant tags, we can help, right? That's how that rule works?
Yes, that's how that definitely works. At least the way that we've been playing the game, yes.
Because I have a tag that I've never, I think, ever actually used called Trickery and Pranks, which actually helps here, I think.
You know, knowing where your mythos comes from, I'm surprised that JP is not more like that.
That was one of the things that I picked as being like specifically very different between JP and his mythos.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Excellent. So let's go ahead and just have you do that then. Absolutely.
I am going to use crowd work and gift of gab to try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Try to defer attention.
Okay.
Yeah, away from what I'm doing. And you said you was giving me some stuff there, 1 or 2. I know you said the trickery one. Is there another one or no?
JP, is there trickery? There was trickery, and then what else was there?
No, that's all I got. I thought, can I help with more than one tag anyway?
We have been playing with the idea that only one tag really applies.
Yeah, okay. I don't have anything else anyway, because JP's really bad at tricking people in general. But yes, I will help you with that. I guess he's just like so you're like trying to hand him stuff under the table. So I think maybe he like pretends to like drop one of his cards. You know, he's like doing the rookie thing. He's like trying to like play around with his cards a little bit, and he like drops one and then like leans down and grabs it from under the table.
All right. So change the game, right?
Sure. There is a negative story tag.
All right. So that's a minus.
That's a -1. And that story tag is Dirty Dealer.
Okay. How did I end up with 3? What is this? All right.
God damn it. All right. So great success. That means with 2 power tags, that means you get 2 juice. Because it's a great success, the first juice counts actually as 2, so it means you get 3 juice altogether. What would you like to do with your juice?
Drink it. I'm gonna drink that juice.
Gross.
Yeah, no, I am gonna see here. I'm not sure what I can do with the juice because it's hard to read. I'm gonna have. Can I make it to where Samuel just thinks JP is a bumbling idiot, so he doesn't see through his trickery if he tries something like that again?
That JP is a bumbling idiot?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the story tag that you're going to give JP there?
Novice or noob. Just because this obviously isn't his scene, so he doesn't know how to act. He doesn't know how to carry himself around these kind of people. So he's just always making social faux pas in this setting. So he's with me, so it's like, all right,
he's the guy who sits down at a casino and like won't stop playing with his chips and like keeps like messing with the cards, and they keep having to come tell him not to do it.
Okay. When he folds or something, he like throws his cards towards the dealer. And
exactly. Yeah, shows everyone what he's got when he folds. Like exactly.
Okay, so that's a story tag. It's going to be a positive story tag in JP's benefit. You have 2 other juice in this particular case. What do you want to do with them?
What do I want to do with it? What do I want to do with it? I mean, can I just?
Well, no, it's Frags has got 2 juice to spend here, so you guys can work this out and figure out what you guys want to do. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So what I was gonna ask is, could he use that to like convert into a plus for my D6? Like, how can we play it that way?
You are more than welcome to spend juice as a +1. Basically 1 plus, 1 per +1, basically. So if
I have 2 juice left, can I do that for both of us? Or since we helped him cheat,
you could, and then what I would suggest is that we call it something like luck. Because given Scratch's mythos, it seems like he would maybe not put luck out there so much as there's some sort of element of cheating, but not cheating on the sly, or I'm not sure what to call it, but it would be a very sly, under the table, sort of like an underhanded kind of fix to it. So
things happen serendipitously, but
right, exactly.
Okay.
So however you want to call it, I think that both of you get another plus, or you'll get another story tag, and we'll call that +1 for both of you. So that means that JP actually has a +2 in anything he wants to do in this scene.
Cool.
Right.
So I think in this case, especially like early on, JP's like trying very hard to let Scratch take the lead, because as much as he's like he's playing into like the whole being a noob thing here, is like he knows that this is not his scene. He wants to let Scratch take the lead. So he's just going to trust that the cards he passed him are good and play the hand.
I agree. The cards I gave you were good.
Okay. So mechanically, that's what's going on. In the scene, Samuel kind of looks between JP and and Beauregard, and JP and Beauregard, as he's watching the two of you. Beauregard, how did the two of you meet? He seems like a little too innocent for your tastes.
Well, it's a funny story. As you know, I'm trying to turn a new leaf, grow a new tree, and branch out.
You see Samuel yawn as you say that.
And in this tree, I'm trying to surround myself with good crap, fertilizer, if you will. These branches ain't for hanging no more. Oh no, I'm growing new fruit. And I'm hoping my friend JP here will help me along my path of, let's call it righteousness. I met him at the bar.
That's how he's gonna end it.
He's a good musician. I this is a little embarrassing. You know that guy who at the end of the set, he always goes and talks to the music. I just like talking to musicians after they're done playing. Offer to buy him a drink.
You're a groupie.
I don't sleep with them for.
Not all groupies sleep with them. They want to.
You tried.
Look, I didn't ride you. You rode me.
He also rode you.
Exactly.
Thank you guys for making the scene devolve into something that is just absolutely gross. Thank you.
No problem.
Same as every scene.
Yep.
Ever. And so Samuel kind of looks at Scratch as this. He hears JP kind of explaining this, smiles at Scratch, and then looks over at JP and says, "Lies don't become you, boy. You're too innocent for that. Next time, you can just tell me that Oscar introduced the two of you." And for Beauregard, for Scratch, you know that Samuel has this little unique ability. Well, it's not quite unique, but sense of truth.
I'm just gonna tell him.
You know I'm doing favors. He's helping me with my favors.
I believe a favor was on the... Sorry, go ahead.
Why you gotta be so nosy, Sam? Asking questions you already know the answer to.
Just wanted to know if the boy would tell me the truth. I mean, you do have a favor on the table with me. Isn't that right? Have you told him that? Have you been honest about that?
I tell people only what they need to know.
Kind of looks over at JP.
Do
Do you trust him?
Scratch is gonna wink at JP. You're gonna tip the sunglasses down.
Samuel, if I didn't trust him, isn't it a little too late? I mean, I'm here. I'm sitting at the table. I already made the bet. It feels like I've already I've dug the hole here. If I'm not gonna trust him, it's a little late now.
He kind of leans in and he says, "That's why you're a boy." And he shows his hand. And now we're going to roll again. So everybody gets to roll the d6. Remember, add your modifiers to it. What? God damn it.
This idiot who didn't even know how to play Old Maid. I love you, Sam, but god damn it.
So how does JP react when he wins?
So JP puts it, it's like that classic moment where like everyone's like revealing their cards with like either like a grin or like a shake of the head, and JP like puts his cards down and just like looks to see what everyone else does because he doesn't know. He has no idea.
Did I win?
Did I get the high score? What does this mean? Did I break it? And Scratch is just gonna smile at him.
One for me, one for you.
No, what's gonna happen when he wins one?
Best of three, Beauregard. Best of three. And he begins to deal again, and we're gonna cut to Malcolm.
Oh my god, it's so dramatic.
Dun dun dun.
Most dramatic game of Old Maid ever.
JP's gonna be an old maid by the time he finishes game.
But at least he'll know how to play finally, right?
Yeah, you roll a d6.
Well, you know, it's funny. Sabak apparently is played with a die.
That's true.
So I guess this is not much different. Anyway,
it's true. Yeah. So what's happening in there? Everyone's noticing that the shadow is that something's dragging the twin.
Something is dragging with the twin.
Okay.
And they're starting to move to grab him. And Malcolm is very aware, based on just his situational awareness with the shadows, way to communicate that he's been noticed.
Shit, Johnny. You know, that's...
You thought it was just going to work, didn't you?
I always assume all my things work because that's how Malcolm is. I just have to assume everything works. Everything comes up Malcolm. Okay. So what are they trying to grab the twin? Is that what's happening here? They're trying to grab onto this kid?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's 50 of them. 50. That's a lot. That's a big number.
Well, you did draw a couple of them out to figure out what was going on outside.
Yeah. I mean, I took on a whole pirate ship once. So once. So yeah, I think he's gonna fly down and get as close to. So there's one central door, right? I assume there's like one big door.
Mm-hmm.
And a big glass window.
Oh, the entire front face and the sides are definitely big windows. Yes.
Perfect. I'm gonna change the game. I am going to. Okay. I'm going to find there's a rock somewhere. It's the outside. There has to be a rock somewhere. And I'm going to fly and smash a rock through the main window of this place.
So I'm imagining Malcolm just kind of jumping off, sort of sweeping down, grabbing a rock, and just kind
Well,
of...
I assume, like, you know how in movies there's always, like, random debris and shit on top of buildings? I assume it's, like, a rock or, like, a cinder block that happens to be there for some unknown reason. And he just, like, he's flying upside down. Like, he'd, like, leapt off the front of the building, and he's flying upside down like a vampire, and he just throws it while floating upside down through the window.
Here's the thing, though. There wouldn't, because Malcolm's life is a movie, there wouldn't be debris there. But Malcolm needs there to be.
But,
and
yeah.
Malcolm, so, of course, there is.
Yeah.
Like a Michael Bay movie. It's unnecessary.
Yeah. It's like, why are there just rocks? Is that an engine right there? What do you need that for? Yeah, so he, like, grabs, like, a brick or, like, a piece of a brick. He floats upside down and just sort of smashes it through the window. So I'm going to change the game, I think.
Roll it.
Flight... I mean, I'll imagine that brick to life.
Okay. Do what you will. Do what you will, buddy. Do what you will.
I think that the loose shadow is still kind of a distraction in this case.
Okay.
Right? And then I'm going to change it from Crow Call to We Kill Pirates because I'm about to kill some pirates. And then everything's a game. So I have 5 power tags and I have the 2 minuses, doesn't know the rules, and Total Darkness.
So Total Darkness doesn't apply here because
Okay.
This has nothing to do with your shadow.
Yep.
The doesn't know the rules definitely applies though.
Okay. So I have a 4 power on this one. Let's see here. Let me make sure I can do this. And then we're doing change the game. Changes. Turn and face the crowd. That's a 14. So
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, go on.
do I have? Hold on. I got to flip
You
all
have
my
5.
cards over. Nope. I thought I had one of them that was dynamite, but I don't. Okay, cool.
Doesn't like you.
Yeah, I didn't choose dynamite for any of them. So yeah, 14. So I get 5 juice.
That's 5 juice. Yes, sir.
5 juice. Okay, cool. So juice number 1 is I'm going to create the rock, right, to smash through this
Why
window.
are you gonna bring Dwayne Johnson into this?
Because why wouldn't you? Have
I
you seen
really
him jump
thought
through
you
that
did.
window?
That's actually what I thought he meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like, I'm gonna create the rock, and in second, he's gonna want to know what everybody's cooking.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen that new movie where he runs with one leg and jumps through the window? That's what I'm trying to achieve here. Just very tiny. So yeah, I create the rock. He's as badass as you remember. I'm going to scale up the effect and create a power tag. Or create a story tag, I guess? Oh no, give or reduce a status. So I'm going to give a status to all of the people that are in this room. Hopefully not the Lost Boys, but he might get caught in the collateral damage. Because controlling collateral damage is not one of the effects of this. So stone, scale up the effect. The status is shattered. Tier 1
Okay,
shattered.
hold on. As you're talking about this, you just
Yep.
said about controlling collateral damage. Since this is a great success, the last entry on that list is, if as long as you and I agree with it,
Okay.
I'm okay. So if you want to control the collateral damage, I'm okay with having that conversation.
Okay, basically, I just don't want... Like, I want there to be enough people in this... 50 people in a building is a lot of people, right? In a diner. I think that basically what the status is, the glass shatters, and everyone gets covered in glass. But there's so many people from where the window is to where the twin is that it's very unlikely for him to get covered. So that's how I want to control the collateral. Him not getting covered in glass.
Him not getting covered in glass,
Right.
but glass kind of shattering everywhere otherwise.
Right,
Okay, so
yeah.
let play it out for me again. Rock is created in the scene.
Rock is created. Scale up the effect of the shattered glass so it gets more people. Control the collateral damage, it doesn't get the twin. Create a status. Status 1 shattered, distracted, whatever you want to call it. They're covered in glass.
Okay.
And then I have one more, which I will say I'll create a secondary status. Or I guess upgrade the status to a tier 2. Yeah,
Okay.
reduce one tier per point of juice. Disoriented. Because now they have the shattering glass, they have the kid getting pulled, they're running outside to find the power, they're all kind of all over the place, and they have no idea what the fuck's going on. So they're covered in glass and disoriented. So I'd say tier 2 disoriented.
Okay. I want to be a jerk based on the description that you just gave me, but I'm not going to be that jerk. I'm going to tell you what I was going to be a jerk about.
Okay.
So you said that the twin is not going to get covered in glass.
Right.
but there's still glass everywhere.
Yeah.
But the shadow is going to be able to navigate him around the glass so he doesn't get cut. I'm just.
I mean, I
know
assume
that.
he has shoes on.
You said he was being dragged by the shadow.
Oh, you're right.
He can get up and start running if that works out. But I'm just.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm not going to be that jerk. I'm not going to. This isn't a wish. It's not. I'm not going to fuck you because of the verbiage of the wish. But anyways,
that's fair.
So glass crashes in. All of them are distracted. This amazing sort of like bubble kind of pot, of glass just kind of does not peer around the twin as the shadow is continuing to kind of drag him and is able to make it towards the door, right? And so you can see, based on the way that you threw everything and the situation, you can see that the twin is almost to the door at this point, and he's starting to get up as the shadow is just kind of like shaking him off and kind of putting him up. But everybody else is distracted at this point.
Okay.
And then the three that went around come back around kind of towards the front door.
Okay.
So 47 of them have this tier 2 status, but 3 of them don't.
Right. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I am just gonna fly down in front of them. I'm gonna cut them off.
Okay.
Right? That makes the most sense.
Does it?
Yeah. For Malcolm, absolutely.
it?
Absolutely it does. It makes the most sense anyone could ever imagine.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does it?
Why wouldn't it? Come on, son.
I'm waiting on you. What do you do? Okay.
So if he's dragging the kid out, so the shadow's dragging the twin out of the door, and these three are coming around the side of the building. So everyone's disoriented inside. Kids at the door. These three are like, "Oh shit, what's happening here?" Malcolm can see that because he's floating upside down, looking at the chaos, and he sees this happen, and he just sort of uprights himself and lands between these three and the twin and the shadow. And he draws Mr. G's sword immediately. What do they do? Because I'm attacking.
I'm trying to figure out if I want you to go toe to toe with them or not in this particular case.
Okay.
Because it seems like you just kind of jumping in and them kind of rushing at the same time. It seems like that seems the appropriate role.
Oh yeah, like Malcolm intends to attack them.
Okay.
For sure.
Then let's call it a go toe to toe.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna use uncanny part. I'm gonna use flight because I just flew in there and landed there. But I don't think loose shadow is much of a distraction right now. We kill pirates, bangarang, and everything's a game. So I have the negative effect of doesn't know the rules. What else?
Okay. That's the only one I think that applies here.
Okay.
Because the shadow still hasn't connected back to you yet.
Right, and I told the shadow, I basically told the shadow to take the kid. So I'm going to do go toe to toe, right?
Yep.
There you go,
You have
John.
3 power tag.
I do have 3 power tags, but it's still a miss.
It's still a miss. Okay, I just wanted to confirm because they weren't showing up. Okay. So describe the attack. So describe how you get in between the shadow and twin and these 3 as you make your attack. What does that actually look like? What is Malcolm's attempt?
So I have an improvement called Do Try to Keep Up. Once per session, when you or someone rolls a 6 or less and the MC makes a move, which is what you're about to do, I assume, you can make a single additional move before the MC's takes place. Your move is considered to precede the MC's move.
Are you sure you just got that tag? I really feel like you've been using this since like session 1.
Oh yeah, no, I've had this tag for like a while. This is the first improvement I got. Oh yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
This tag is Malcolm.
Yeah, I have a tag. Sorry, I didn't just get it. So I'm going to use that once per session, this being the session, and make an additional move before that happens. So basically, I land, I brandish the sword, and we all kind of begin to collide. And what I want to do is take a risk. I think what I want to do is basically feint and like I dodge forward in this, I assume, gravel driveway, right? Dodge forward to where we're all going to attack each other, and at the last second, I leap backwards and grab the twin and take off. I think that would be either face danger or take a risk. I'll leave that up to you, though.
I think it's take a risk.
Okay.
Because. Because I think the way that move implies, if they were going to attack you, then I would be facing danger. You would if you weren't using an additional move prior to that. I think it would be face danger. You would be dealing with the trying to avoid the effects of damage.
Yeah. I think if I fail this, I'm going to be facing danger.
Right. So I really I agree. It's definitely that. So
okay.
Let's go ahead and go with that. So take a risk.
So I'm going to use flight, bangarang, crow call, and everything's a game?
No, is everything a game?
I think so. This has been fun. And then doesn't know the rules is a negative status.
Okay.
You got anything else for me?
Nope.
All right.
Roll it.
Fuck me running. +3. It's a 7.
So, take a risk.
Oh.
There's a bit of a complication here, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Malcolm comes up, right, and he grabs for the twin and immediately leaps, right?
Mm-hmm.
As that happens, guns start to get pulled, shots are being fired. However, your shadow, who is already in the mode of doing something, reacts to you grabbing the twin and kind of taking off, moves back to sort of defend you, and gets caught in the door as the door shuts on the place, and is just kind of stuck there as you fly away.
Okay. Yeah, I think I gotta save the kid. I gotta save the lost boy.
You gotta save the twin.
Yep. So I get away, but my shadow stays, and I'm flying back towards the hideout.
Yep. Your shadow is stuck. All right. And so we're going to cut back to floor. So there's a huge tentacle on this boat. Like, it's just like kind of laying across. And there are a bunch of individuals using axe and swords and just trying to cut at it. As you see others that are trying to secure the rigging and keep the boat afloat. But it's just, it's rocking back and forth as the tentacle is just kind of sliding back and forth a little bit, kind of, shaking it. And you see the rest of the pirates, the rest of the crew, just relentlessly attacking at it, just kind of slashing at it. But Captain K just kind of slices at it, slices off a sucker on the tentacle, kind of makes, doesn't have his heart in it. And at some point, as the tentacle slowly starts to slide back across, you see him continue to move forward towards the front of the ship.
I think she's going to, after what he said about, well, we're going to die soon anyway, or whatever he said, being all mopey, she kind of understands why his heart's not in it. She doesn't understand why, but she gets what's going on. And I think she kind of runs in and is just like, don't rock the boat, and just runs and takes her sword that's covered in her blood and just jumps on top of the tentacle and stabs through it if she can.
Okay. So
she's trying to pin it to the boat, or just get through to the meat of, maybe not pin it to the boat, but get to the meat of it. I don't know how I don't want to make that hand gesture again. I don't know how.
Are you sure? I mean, because it seemed like you were having fun with it right there.
I don't know how to phrase this.
Phrasing is a problem, yeah.
Depending on how big the weapon that she is using is, can she get all the way through this enemy extremity?
Potentially.
Okay.
Potentially. I think this is a hit him with all you got kind of a scenario, which makes sense.
So, where is my... That's right, I didn't open it. All right, hold on. Okay, so yeah, she's going to Dead of Night, Touch of the Underworld. I would say Meat Shield, because now that she's getting an idea of who he is, she's trying to protect him. Otherwise, she would just be drinking in the cabin.
Okay.
I think just those three.
Okay, and there's a negative story tag.
I would also argue Ragdoll, because she knows that if she injures herself to get her blood on the sword, she'll be fine.
Okay, I'm okay with it.
She knows she'll heal. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. There is a negative story tag though. That's in play.
Okay.
It is only a dream.
Okay. So you said hit him with all you've got.
Yes, sir. I mean, ma'am. I mean, whatever.
I'll take either. It's a mild success. It's a little weak. It's a weak sauce.
Jesus. Wait, are you sure that negative story tag applied? Did you actually use 6 story tags? Or 5?
Hold on.
6 is a lot.
Yeah, I'm using 5. No,
Five
you're
is
using-
still a lot.
I'm using my weakness tag. Sorry, I apologize. That was my bad.
It's okay. So there's the.
No, but all alone. None of her friends are here.
That's right.
Sorry, I didn't look at that. So yes, that's correct. If that applies, if you think
If that applies, that means that it's not a success, that it's actually a failure.
it's already checked. My point
Oh, is
was
it already checked?
It was already checked. So what I rolled is correct. Sorry,
Okay. All right. Just
I
making sure.
forgot to uncheck.
Did
that.
you add Johnny's extra negative though?
the one negative?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
So you, rolled
So you were using 7
tags?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I. 1, 2,
Okay,
3, 4, and the weakness.
Yeah, so a
And then I
weakness
did
is a
the minus
negative.
1.
Yeah, so a weakness is a negative and Johnny's is a negative. You use 4 power
I clicked
tags.
it on the sheet is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
so the sheets might be jacked up. So 4 power tags
Oh.
minus 2 would mean to the 2, which means you rolled a 4 total.
Okay.
Yeah. We need. Okay. So it sounds like we're gonna have to have a
My point
conversation.
is, I clicked the right things. Whether that's correct or not, I don't know. I
You-
didn't look
you-
at the roll yet. I literally, I'm just basing it off you guys. Sorry. Okay,
You did
so,
your- you
so that
did
was
your-
a fail. So she looks
Yeah,
at
you-
the roll and she runs in and charges in and gets annihilated.
All right. So narrate for us what happens when you do this, and as you kind of you how do you attack this thing as you're trying to, because the intent is you're going to pin this thing to the deck, right?
No, just
pin the
get
appendage.
get through the meaty bits.
Okay. So describe that attack.
She yells her, "Rock the boat, don't rock the boat," and then runs and stabs into it with the blood on her from her hand, trying to poison it. And she stabs through it, and then just kind of looks over, kind of cocky at the captain, like, "I got this. All hands on deck," or some other stupid pun, and then just
The blade goes through, but doesn't go all the way through as you're digging in, and you're holding on to the blade enough that as the tentacle moves, it's kind of pulling you with you towards the side of the boat. And you're getting dragged, right? And you realize that you've got just a second before you're going to get pulled completely over. So you can either let go or you can face danger here.
she's gonna face danger.
Okay.
I think she's kind of counting on her poison to do something to this, but I'll take off the.
Oh, it's definitely going to do something. It just hasn't started yet.
Should I take off the ragdoll?
No, that still applies, definitely.
Just roll it the same?
Yeah, go ahead and roll it the same if you want.
It's not going to work, but we'll see.
Is it?
I'm telling you, it's 3 plus 3,
Okay.
because it's it should be plus 4 minus 1, so 3 and then minus 1.
Okay.
Minus 2. Your weakness tag and Johnny's weakness. Johnny's story tag.
Yeah, I don't know. That
No,
should only be minus 1 on my sheet, though, because I'm checking the box for my weakness, is my point.
So you should be checking your box for your weakness, and then in the card up at top where you add additional, positive or negative status
Okay.
effects.
So
Unless you
should I
record it as a status card or a story card on your sheet as one of the status cards below, you should just mark it as a negative or as a +1 in the negative field. Does that make sense?
I'm confused why it's not working. That makes sense, but I'm confused because every time I change it, it's still wrong.
Yeah, try clicking the reset button, see if that fixes it.
All right, let me reset.
And then re-add your power tags.
1, 2. Sorry, guys.
No, it's all good.
3, 4, and then my weakness tag. And that looks correct.
And then at the very top where it says plus minus.
-1, got it.
Yeah.
Yep. So I have 2 power tags. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
And then this is a go toe-to-toe, you said?
Face danger. Face danger.
Face danger.
There you go.
Nice.
That one worked.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so you're facing danger as this thing is just kind of pulling you along, it's going to take you over, and you're holding onto your sword. You get pulled towards the side of the boat where there is a little bit of a ledge that you're able to kind of plant your feet, and you continue to slice through as you hold onto your sword as it slices through the tentacle and just kind of pulls back and just kind of kind of splits the thing as it kind of flops. You notice that as it's pulling, the flesh is beginning to rot just a little bit, and it's starting to just to do that sort of dissolving, sort of weird effect that your saliva and your blood have on normal flesh. But it's getting pulled in, and then it gets pulled under the water as you see another tentacle kind of come up and slam into the boat itself again. But this time it's sort of like in a slamming motion, and it causes everybody to just kind of to pushed up a little bit, And through all of this, you notice that Captain K is heading towards the front of the boat, and he's kind of, a tentacle will come by, he'll take a slice at it, but his heart isn't really into it. What do you want to do now?
She's going to take a step back. You see her cut a little bit farther down on her hand and kind of dip it in the blood, and the same motion. And she looks to the other pirates and is like, "Same spot. Wait for my attack." And then she jumps and does it again. Like gets on top of it and kind of puts the sword in and then backs off.
Blade goes in. Regardless of what happens next, flesh begins to dissolve a little bit on the tentacle, and we're going to cut back to JP and Scratch. Cards are being dealt for the third hand. You didn't quite explain to me, Beauregard, why you're interested in these children, why you're helping this boy that's such a nuisance.
He intrigues me. Maybe I gone soft. Maybe I got a big heart. Maybe I'm trying to make up for all of the things I've done. Why does it matter to you?
Because it surprises me that you care about anything in the world, Beauregard.
I reference you to the New Leaf speech I gave earlier.
You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, I suppose so. But this dog ain't that old, brother. I still got some fight left in me.
Yeah, you are a little too old to be a lost boy. And he looks over at JP as he's kind of, finishing dealing the hand. Beauregard here to tell you what he used to do for me.
Said you used to help him out. I'm assuming. Look, I've been in the city long enough to have an idea of what you do.
An idea? What's your idea, boy?
You're a gangster. Same here. Same in Hong Kong, same in Bangkok, same in Sao Paulo. You're a gangster.
Gangster. How quaint. Such a simple word for such a simple concept. Do you really think that we're simple criminals?
Like, simple, complicated, still just crime. They all manage to figure it out in every other city in the world that I've been to. Can't be that hard. I'm sure whatever the hell wackiness you and your guys have going on that keeps you going in this city helps, but it's all the same, really.
Really? How much did you remember about those other cities that you described?
Enough.
Are you sure?
JP's like, I lived in most of them a decent amount of time. Even after I left, I used to travel a lot of places for fights, so.
How long ago was that?
How long ago? Well, I think I retired just over a year and a half ago, I think. Yeah, I was working at the gym for about 9 months after I left the family and moved to Metropolis. Hasn't been too long.
Was that really you? Or somebody who looked just like you?
Look, I get it. You're trying to get in my head. We're playing a game. None of this stuff started happening until I got here.
None of it?
I think despite what JP said, it's very clear probably to everyone at the table that he is in fact getting into JP's head. And JP's looks a little bit less sure, but then, regains his confidence and says, yeah, none of it. I was always good, but some things are just natural talent.
What if I told you otherwise?
What if I told you to deal them cards, Sammy?
I'm just offering the boy a chance to know a little bit more about what he's been searching for. Because clearly he's spending too much time with Fadi. He's got a need to answer a couple of questions. What if I could answer those questions for you, boy?
Scratch is gonna look at JP and just kind of give him I'm not your daddy look, but I wouldn't do this.
I'm not your daddy look. I love that.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like,
I tell you what, I'm always up for more information, but as far as I can see, there's no reason for you to be honest. I have no way to verify, no way to check. It's just your word, and why should I mean, I'm not trying to be an ass, but why should I trust you any more than you trust me?
What makes you think I would lie to you?
Well, I mean, look, I know I like trusting people. I like giving people the benefit of the doubt, but I've lived in a lot of places. Most people, they see a person like me, they just try to take advantage. All right? So it's fine. We'll play cards. You'll get Malcolm out of it, and we'll go separate ways. It doesn't matter. It's clear JP's getting kind of like flustered at this point. He's just like, he's not really quite sure what to do. He doesn't really know how to answer, and so he's just kind of talking.
Okay, so just to give you, this is the first time I think it's ever really come into play in the game in a way that's meaningful. But it seems like JP is facing a make a hard choice here. So
that's maybe a good question. Let me take a look here.
yes, I want you to take a look at that because that's kind of what he's trying to imply he's putting on the table here. And while that's definitely a player move, the options are beginning to show up on the table for you. So just take a look at that real quick as Scratch or as Samuel kind of looks back over at Scratch and says, you really don't seem to tell these people what you actually did for me. You just tell them we were friends, or you don't let them know that you were once my right-hand man before.
It's never come up in casual conversation. You know,
there ain't anything casual about our relationship. Oh, God.
Well, now you're just being silly. I don't think we had a casual relationship. We had a professional relationship. Albeit one that took me a while to realize was completely one-sided. Now, I don't like to relive or hash up old memories that make old Scratch angry, so I try not to delve into it unless it's really, truly important. Now, can we play some cards?
You don't seem to remember all the good times we had. I once called you a friend. I once turned a blind eye to all your little backroom deals. I know about those deals. Do you think... And he kind of rolls his eyes and he looks back at you. Do you think your friend here is a young boy? Would like to know the kind of things that you've taken from people?
Well, number one, those people asked for those things and they had to give something. I'm just trying to atone for all the wickedness I've created. You were not a very good influence on me, Samuel. You gotta understand, a man needs change. A man needs to mix it up. I can't keep on down this path of sour living. I need a little sweetness in my life. That's why I've gone from straight whiskey to Tom Collins. Just trying to switch it up.
Looks back over to JP and says, I'd be careful with this one. The devil is in the details. And he shows his hand. Everybody roll.
So real quick,
Yep.
I'm gonna mark crack for my always protect my people personality. I think this is showing sort of the change in JP as he's starting to become more serious as like a person who handles this kind of thing in the city. He no longer can afford to always give people the benefit of the doubt the way he has in the past.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, bring your son to work day is actually rubbing off. Oh, JP's growing up.
So do I still get the +2 or did that
It's still we mentioned that it applied to the scene. So Scratch gets a +1, Beauregard gets a +2, or sorry, JP gets +2. Well, I see I haven't rolled yet. I'm gonna let the dramatic a moment and just go. And the house always wins on a tie.
Fucking A. This is dramatic for a game of Old Maid. God damn.
Samuel smiles, kind of starts pulling up all the cards, starts shuffling again. Yeah, you better get ready, Beauregard. Looks over at JP. So the offer still stands before you follow this path to your own folly. Clearly you don't know all the details about your time here. I believe your friend Marty probably has a little bit more to tell you. And that's where we're going to cut it. To Malcolm. Flying away with the twin.
Yes. And he heads back to the house. The lair.
Immediately as you kind of arrive in, the twin just kind of runs off, finds his other twin, and there's this sort of brotherly sort of camaraderie of like hugging and then like, you know, sort of like backing off and pushing each other and hitting each other because, you know, they don't show that kind of affection, but they were clearly very scared to be apart from each other. As the rest of the boys kind of run up, and Tink kind of runs with you. So what happened? What was going on? Where was he? Was he in a park? Was he in a park with me?
Oh my God, there wasn't even a park. There was a place, and there was like 50. There was like 7. There was like 100 guys. There was so many guys, and they all had suits on, and they all had like big guns, and they were there. And then I turned all the lights off, and then I smashed in, and then the glass went everywhere, and I swooped in, and I got him. I said, "Ha! You can't fight me!" And I had a sword out, and it was awesome. You remember the time? And I jumped in with the sword thing out, and I said, "No!" And I grabbed you, and that was cool. It was the best part ever.
And you see Tink's face just kind of light up, and she's just like taking in every minute of it, every word. And it's the rest of the boys kind of come up after the twins have kind of reunited, and they're all just kind of. They're super excited. They're all screaming and yelling, and they're all asking you more questions. And then one of them kind of looks down and says, Malcolm,
yeah.
Where's your shadow?
Oh. I took it off.
Are you sick?
It was
you
heavy.
Windy lady?
It was no. It was heavy and I had to fly.
We can find the windy lady if she can fix you.
No, I think the floor lady might be able to do gross stuff and fix it. But I have to find the shadow. But I have to find Slightly first. Did anyone else come back yet?
No.
No. Okay. You stay here. Same thing applies. If the floor lady comes back, tell her I lost my shadow, but not to go anywhere, and stay here and protect you with her gross spitty hands. And then if the other guys come back, because I'm going to go find them. I'm going to Manny's house. And if they come back before I come back, tell them that I went to Manny's house and that they would be better to be more safe here. Okay.
Okay.
And
okay.
If Gideon comes back, punch him in the nose, and then tell him not to leave. That's it.
Yeah, they all shake their heads.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they immediately kind of swarm around and take Tink and the twins sort of off. And
Malcolm closes the door, and he flies out. Like,
okay, and
everyone's trying to help me today, and no one's helping. And he flies off towards the house.
All right, so we cut to the mortuary, the funeral home.
As Malcolm's there, or for Sam and JP, or JP and
No, so as Malcolm arrives there.
What does it look like?
The door's wide open. There's nobody in the front.
Okay.
But it's really dark, and it feels really cold, and there's a little bit of fog on the ground.
Cool. So it looks like a big, scary haunted house. Okay. Malcolm flies down and lands on the porch, where the door, I assume, looks like its hinges are a little jacked up, having been replaced at least once. And he stands in front of the door, hands on hips, and yelling into the house. He just yells, and it echoes into this cavernous house, and he wants to see what happens.
Nothing, except there's a really strange smell sort of wafting from inside, and it gives Malcolm a little bit of a flashback.
Ooh.
It's a sort of a sterile, sort of antiseptic smell.
Oh. Okay.
Kind of like a.
Yeah. No, I get where you're going there. Okay. All right. Interesting. So he crow calls with all the confidence in the world, and then steps into the house and gets a whiff of that, and then the further in he goes and the more heavily it smells, the further the steps have with trepidation as he walks in, attempting to find anyone. I don't think he's. I would say he's never been inside the house, so he doesn't know where anyone is or where you would keep someone. And it's dark out, and there's no lights on. So he's just wandering aimlessly around this house. I would like to roll an investigate to see if I can find evidence of where people have been, perhaps where Slightly is.
Okay.
I got nothing on this roll.
I
would say home is where you make it, because I'm looking for one of the boys. But that's all I got. And I'm also gonna tag on a negative. Stress and negative emotions because of the smell of this house.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask, without his shadow, is that a negative status of some kind for him?
I don't know. I don't have a negative status for that. I originally did, but I took it off, and I also took off losing the shadow. When I gained the ability to lose my shadow, it was as like a bonus without having to add an extra negative to it.
Okay.
I think that would function as if I burned that tag, so I cannot use that at all.
So I would have said it was a burned tag if it was the case. So I'm not going to burn it.
Well, obviously I can't use my loose shadow because it's gone, right? So
you can't use it right now, but
yeah.
It's not a burned tag yet, right?
Okay.
So if you were to go and recover it, that would be one thing.
Right.
We can talk about what happens if you don't go by the end of the session, what that actually means.
Okay.
But
yeah.
as of this point, I don't think it's a burned tag at this point. I think it's just the fact that you don't have your shadow with you. So that's a fair point on it being either a burn. It would be a burn tag versus a negative, though. Okay.
Right.
All right. So go ahead and roll. It's a straight up roll based on your positive and negative tag in play.
Okay. So I'm just gonna roll a straight up investigate here. So I have a 0, so that's whatever it rolled. So a mild success is, I believe, 1 clue, because you get a minimum of 1 clue.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So what's your question?
I mean, the obvious question is, where is everybody?
That's a fair question.
Does that work as a clue for this?
I will answer that question because it's a mild success.
Okay.
It's potentially vague or not true.
That's fair. Yep, that's what I'm going to ask. Where is everybody?
So I'm going to answer it through a little bit of narrative. You step inside, the antiseptic sort of like sterile smell kind of overwhelms you as your steps become more. They become the length of them becomes less, and you become a little bit more timid as you're moving through with trepidation. You're kind of stepping in, and you're looking around. And you step into the essentially the entry hallway of this funeral home, and it's a long hallway. And off to your left, there is a showing room of some kind with seats and sort of seats and like a dais for where the coffin would be, and there's a coffin sort of laid out there, and some flowers around it. You kind of look off towards the right. You see a very similar room, and moving forward, stepping past those, the smell gets even stronger as you see another set of doors that imply, even though whether Malcolm actually reads them or not, but they imply that there's that. Somewhere off in the distance towards the back of the building, you hear voices, but you're not quite sure what they're saying or what's going on. One appears to be a woman's voice, another one appears to be a man's voice, and you hear a child's voice as well. Yeah,
unquestionably, that's where he goes to.
Okay, as you kind of run through and run into towards the back, you throw open the door, and you find yourself in essentially one of the preparing rooms as the smell sort of overwhelms and hits you. And lying on the table is slightly Ivy in his arm and a heart monitor that you hear beeping, sort of there. And you get the flash of your mother's hospital room. Can't hear you.
I said, and then we cut to Flora.
Sure. And we cut to Flora.
That's how it's been going all night, so I figured.
Well, I was going to give you a moment to react before we cut to Flora, but
no, I'm just going to cry in real life.
Poor Malcolm. As we cut to Flora. Blade in the second tentacle. The rest of the crew is really kind of helping you. You're seeing a similar result, but you see the captain really beginning to just make his way up to the tip of the very front of the ship, the tip of the ship, essentially. And he's just...
Someone else follows suit after I yell at them?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, she'll do that and then pull the sword out again and jump off.
Okay.
And
So you
in case she sees another one.
right, and so the blade kind of splits it, and you see the decay happening as you feel the ship sort of rock again as a tentacle kind of swings up way above and knocks out one of the masts, sort of knocking that off into the ocean to the side as the sail kind of unfurls and starts to cover sort of the backside of the ship where the helm is. And you're hearing, cries of, to clear the debris, clear the deck. But the captain appears to be disregarding it completely.
She's going to take her sword one more time and wipe it on her other hand and
gross
taint it and hand it to one of the people. And as she walks through these crowds of people, like, who are waiting for the next hit, like anyone who's near her, she's just wiping her hands on the edges of their blades and just kind of like blood dripping down her arms as she's passing through to try to run up to the captain.
When you arrive to the captain, he's on essentially the deck that's right, just sort of above the main deck area that's on the tip of the ship. And he's holding on to some rigging and just kind of looking over the water. As you can see that there are things moving in the water that essentially imply that there are tentacles there, right? You see the frothing, but it's incredibly dark. And off in the distance, as he's kind of looking out, he's kind of looking out towards, he's looking down back into the water. You can see that there is a glinting light, and that just way off in the distance, almost like a lantern or a lighthouse. And as it kind of, the illumination kind of, twinkles a little bit, you can see that there is land ahead, but it's very far off still. And this Leviathan thing, that's this Kraken, whatever, it's just where his tentacles are just kind of grabbing at the ship and just starting to tear it apart.
She's going to, using her foot, because her hands are covered in acid blood, she's just going to kind of gently kick him.
Oh, you're still alive.
So, Captain, you are. Let's get out there. Your men need you.
No.
You give up that easily?
It's already too late.
You say you've done this before.
And I will again.
Am I ever here?
No. Occasionally I see a couple of boys. One who looks really familiar. And another who just appears to be, I don't know. Sometimes they fight with us, but we never win. It's already too late if we've gotten here.
Well, I guess if you don't want to help your wife, I guess she'll just die below deck. And Flora's going to turn her back to him and walk back down, grab another sword, and start to repeat.
She'll be born again too.
Yes.
The question is, will you? And he turns back.
I don't plan on dying. She goes, I don't plan on dying. And she just keeps going.
All right. So the attacks continue. The second another tentacle comes across, knocks off another one of the masts, the center mast, and it just kind of flops down. As you can see that the ship's structure is starting to actually begin to crumple a little bit under you. Your attacks continue, and you're able to take out a couple more tentacles. As you can see that when these tentacles come back out for the attack, the damage of your blood and your saliva are just beginning to wreak real harm on the thing. But it just seems like this thing keeps coming back with more and more tentacles. What do you want to do?
Are there any lanterns nearby?
There's a couple of lanterns along the ship, yeah. And there's plenty of rum if you're thinking what I think you're thinking.
Yeah, she's gonna make some Molotov cocktails if she can. She's gonna
Okay.
make at least 2 of them and try to. She's really trying to heat up her blade,
Okay.
and she's going to try to make like a makeshift syringe to just inject something under the skin. So really, she's gonna try to like slice instead of like cutting down like she was. She's gonna cut at an angle, and just try to put her hand in there to get her blood into its system. Maybe she can like infect it somehow faster that way.
Is this change the game if it's meant for her?
Well, you can inflict
Seems-
statuses on other people with change the game, right?
Yeah, you can. Most often, change the game is used in conjunction. Well, I guess yeah. Okay, let's call it change the game. So
Actually, she has adrenaline shots, or she has whatever she used on Malcolm that one time in her bag. Remember her coroner's kit?
Yep.
Remember we had this whole argument?
Yep.
She's just
That was a
gonna
long
fill
time
it
ago,
with
but yeah.
blood and start injecting this thing.
Okay. All right. So is that what you're going to do instead of trying to make some sort of makeshift?
Yep. She's
Okay.
still gonna cut into it and then inject, so it's faster.
So is this another hit him with all you got?
Maybe change. Maybe it's still change the game.
So you could do a
Okay.
change the game because where was your coroner's kit?
She has a bag on her at all times.
Like a shoulder strap bag?
Yeah, like a crossbody.
Okay.
Like you carry.
So I was gonna say because you definitely like threw everything down and dug your hands into the ground, so you could change the game to make sure you have
She
it
threw
on
down.
you.
She didn't throw. She didn't throw anything
If I'm
off
not
of her
carrying
person.
my hand, I didn't throw it off. I just put my arms in the
Gotcha,
bag.
gotcha.
Yep. She took off her gloves, but other than that, I think
Yeah.
that was the only thing that
And I
she did.
still don't have those. Which,
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't grab a pirate gloves.
The hat was cooler. She just really wanted a hat, man.
You need a parrot.
I'll find one. We're going to an island, man.
She does need a parrot. What's up with that?
Or just
Laura?
the-
Why don't you have a?
I've got a dog. He's
Just
on his
Jack
way.
the monkey, the undead monkey.
Uh,
Nar, we
It's
named the
just a
monkey
wooden
Jack.
bird yelling at me in a pirate voice.
God, it's out of control.
Oh.
Okay.
Touch of the Underworld, because it's using her blood. Dead of Night. I would still argue Ragdoll, because she's using, she knows she'll heal.
Okay.
I was going to roll the same thing and just continue the All Alone.
Okay. There's an additional story tag that's going to count as a negative. It can't remember how I wanted to describe it before, but essentially it is loss of hope is essentially the idea behind it. So
For her?
no, for the crew around you, because they see the captain is so, but it does have an impact on you because they're starting to lose hope in the fight.
Okay. I'm confused why this is doing that.
Why it's
That's
applying
one
to you,
checked,
or
And then I have a -1 and then the -1. Oh, that's why.
Yep.
So I have 2. I should have 2
Yep.
tags. 4 and then 2. And then you said change the game?
yeah, I think we said change the game was the
Okay.
appropriate one to work. Okay.
Mild success.
Okay, 2 power tags. What you gonna do with them? What you gonna do with your juice?
I'm gonna create a story tag,
Oh no.
and I was thinking, this thing starts reacting in a way that the captain's never seen before, and maybe he is less mopey, like a whiny captain.
So you're gonna give him like a +1 tag of encouraged.
Yeah, like +1 morale.
How about we call restored hope?
Okay.
Because there was a negative story tag about the loss of hope. Let's say restored hope.
And then I would say, obviously the poison that's spreading through its veins right now, or whatever. Goddamn.
Okay.
Have.
So what is it? What in Flora's head? Because the reality of all of this, or the circumstances of all of this, is really a dream. What is the poison and the adrenaline going to do to the Kraken?
In her mind?
Yeah, in her mind. Like, what? Imagine from what are you expecting to happen in your mind, or in Flora's mind?
It just poisons its blood because she doesn't know how this thing works. She knows the anatomy of humans, and pretty much, if I had done this to a human, if you put like ink inside of, a dead corpse, and then you see it start to travel or whatever, and it dyes that vein blue so that you can draw blood or whatever. That's what it does, but with poison throughout this thing. Throughout it's different. It gets to like the center from the tentacle and then spreads to the other ones. Okay.
So as this is sort of, this is all happening, and the you start to see that the in the dim light of the lanterns that are around you, you see the tone, there's a skin tone change on the thing. And it starts to move a little bit more of a lethargic sort of a nature with that particular tentacle. And as it tries to bring it up, you kind of raise it, right? It kind of slumps back down and is being dragged off as the captain kind of looks back. Captain K kind of looks back, and he looks a little shocked, and he looks at you, and you start to see a little bit more animation in his eyes as restored hope begins to kind of play through his head. Something happens, and he makes a move to attack the tentacle again with his sword with more gusto. And we're going to cut to JP and Scratch.
Oy. All right. So I lost, right? Because I lost 2 of the 3.
You did, but this is a 2 out of 3 game, right? So you best 2 out of 3, but that means that somebody's got to win with at least 2, right?
But didn't he win on the tie? Because my first one, I tied him. So he won
did he win on the tie?
He wins round 1 on the tie. I win round 2 on when I rolled the 6, and then I rolled a 1. So he's up.
1. Oh, no.
Or maybe I'm wrong. I'm happy to roll again if I didn't lose.
I'm looking at the roll. No, because Scratch won the first one. Sam won the second, or sorry, JP won the second one.
One person wins each round.
Right.
It's not both of us playing against. Okay, that makes more sense. That was my confusion. Cool. So yeah, he mentions Marty. Man, I think that's probably enough to get JP to bite, but it's probably not in the way that Samuel is going to expect. So yeah, so he says that, and JP looks at him and goes, "So you've met Marty?"
He looks at you and he smiles and says, "I helped the boy once. I'm not sure if Beauregard here remembers, but he did a favor for me. I did a favor for him, and he seemed much the happier."
It makes sense. Makes sense why you've been confused then with this conversation we've been having. If you met him first.
There's no confusion here.
Oh, I think there very much is. I mean, it seems like you think I'm like Marty. I'm one of them, but it's not how it is.
One of them? And he looks at you with a mock confusion.
So JP blinks and his eyes turn that fiery gold color burning through the smoke. And he looks deeply into Samuel's eyes, maintaining eye contact for a second. And he says, his voice changing tone a little bit, "You're looking at the real one this time. I'm not the clone. It's him."
How can you be so sure?
You said something before about playing games with devils. As far as I'm concerned, not much difference between gods and devils from what I've seen. They all like to look down on people, mess with them, do whatever they want, just like you. But they always make the same mistake when they're talking to me. They don't realize. Let's play the hand. Maybe you can figure it out.
You know, might have to introduce you to a friend of mine who might be able to correct you of your assumptions. But you're right, let's play the hand. And he shuffles and deals the cards. So, Beauregard, the boy here doesn't seem to understand who he really is. And you claim to be turning a new leaf. Are you going to be okay with the situation when you lose?
You know, I thought about it. And no, I am not. But we made a deal, and a deal's a deal. And if you know anything about me, Sammy, which you do, I honor my deal.
When have you ever known me not to actually honor a deal?
Never.
And he smiles when you say that.
I do know that you have been known to alter the deal.
And he shrugs. Sure. Absolutely.
So, what say if we lose, I'm the only one that's got to do anything, and JP here can be on his way. It doesn't have to get mixed up in all this dirty business.
No. Let's just play cards. And he lays down his hand. Roll it, boys. Same things apply.
Come on. No whammies, no whammies. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, damn it. Damn it. Lays his cards on the table, looks around, looks over at Scratch, claps his hands, in a mock sort of gesture. I believe you had a question to ask.
I'm really glad I didn't lose.
So am
Really?
I.
Why? What?
Because I shit you not, Scratch was gonna flip the table and yell, "New leaf!" and fucking run.
I mean, he's just sitting there still holding his cards. Is that?
All right. So the question.
After all these years, why now? Why Malcolm? What's changed, Sammy?
You don't really remember our time together, do you, Beauregard?
I remember enough. And I remember we didn't mess with that kid.
He looks at you funny.
As a matter of fact, you went out of your way to make sure that we didn't mess with that kid. Now, I never knew what the kid looked like, but I know now. and I understand what he's about. And I can kind of understand why we didn't go after him. But why now? What's changed, Sammy?
He looks at you, and you see a real puzzled look on his face. You really don't remember. That's really interesting. The game is always with Malcolm. His boys, they grow up eventually. They need a real home, a real sense of family, because, and he kind of plays with his upper lip and kind of strokes it as he reaches down and takes a drink. They feel abandoned after he's lost interest in playing with them. Some stay longer than others, but eventually they all come to me. I'm just hurrying the journey along a little bit. And this time it seemed like a fun thing to do, since there are changes coming down the pipe in the city.
Oh, that is such horse shit.
This is JP.
That was in character.
That was beautiful.
Scratch is just gonna be like,
He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not doing it on purpose. If you cared about those kids, you wouldn't just be recruiting them into your gang, sending your son out to high schools, finding the kids who are struggling and they don't have anywhere else to go. Sure, you're not wrong. What Malcolm does, it isn't great, but he's trapped just as much as any of them. You're just taking advantage.
You're absolutely right. I am taking advantage. I need all of the boys I can get, making them into strapping young men. And then, sometimes when they fail, making sure that they get back up and can fight another day.
Well, I tell you what, Samuel. You're at least one rung better than all the other scumbags I've met in this city. At least you admit you're one.
I'm not a bad person. I give them a family that lasts forever.
Scratch, is there anything more we need to know from this fellow? Because I'm getting very sick of hearing him talk.
Well, since I'm having a bit of a memory problem, what'd you do with those kids, Sammy?
He looks at you and he smiles and he says, those are just a distraction to keep Malcolm busy. It's time to go collect at the warehouse. And we're going to cut to Malcolm.
you know,
Drama!
I was really hoping to pigeonhole a Star Wars line in there, but you didn't give in.
We can go back to that particular scene if you like at some point.
No, it's
okay.
best.
All right.
Yeah. So who are the two people? So there's Slightly is on a gurney. IV in. There's two people. What do these people look like? What are they doing?
One of them is a skull, and the other one looks like a mortician. And the mortician actually looks familiar. This is the woman that you all encountered the first time you came to the funeral home, back when it was JP's idea to confront Samuel, which didn't go very well. It was JP's idea. Malcolm, you look stunned. Are you okay there? Do you need to breathe?
No. Shit. I can't stop holding back. I'm gonna stop holding back. I gotta. One of the boys is on the table. He's clearly injured. So like, here's the logic, right? It's like my not my mystery. What's the other one? What's the other word for that?
Your logos?
No,
your statement?
Yeah, whatever the hell that's called. Is it's we always have each other's backs. And then I improved that card, and the improvement I took is protect at all costs. So I think that combined with the fact that this looks like a hospital and smells like a hospital, and that person looks like a doctor, I think Malcolm snaps. I don't know how that manifests. But I think it's similar to how it manifested last time. Only his goal is to only get slightly out of here. So yeah, I'm gonna roll for stop holding back.
Based on that description, I have a question for you.
I don't think he's trying to do what he did last time. Not that he has any cognizance of what he did last time, right? His goal isn't to cause damage, which was a panic, and he doesn't see these people as much of a threat as he saw like Siobhan. But his goal is to stop them and get him out of here, get slightly out of here.
Right. That wasn't the question that I was asking.
Okay, go ahead.
But the question I was asking is, how is he doing this when his shadow isn't here?
You're right.
So if you can give me a really good explanation of how this is going to work, I'm all for it. But I'm trying to figure out, based on what's been established in the previous scene, what's going on in this current scene, how he's going to do that. I think
worse.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Far worse then in that case. So here's how it happens: Crow calls, wanders through the house, finds this, opens the door, has the flash of the hospital and the sorcerer's tower and the evil curse. He sees slightly there, and he draws Gepard's sword, and as he pulls it out of the makeshift scabbard, it's a blade. It's not a wooden piece of... It's a sword. And he goes ham. And I'm activating my tag, can't tell adults from pirates, and the mortician's getting it too.
And this is a stop holding back, or is this...
I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
So that's Malcolm's imagination.
Mm-hmm.
His fears, right?
Yeah.
Becoming fully realized for his look. So I'm not sure necessarily that it's a stop holding back.
Okay.
But it makes much more sense in the scene.
Yeah. Well, it's not like a finally some answers, and it's not a make a hard choice. So, that's the thing, is it's not using my powers in a new and unseen way. It's just Malcolm losing control. Like, he's not holding back. Like, usually he just whacks you with a sword, or breaks your hand, or does funny things like pants you. And he's kind of like, he could kill these people. Is what it amounts to.
Okay, so then does this become taking a risk versus hitting him with all I got? Because he's really just... The circumstances are not just as simple as Malcolm's got his wood sword. This is a game. This is fun. It's fully engaged. Sam, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I think there's some level of like risk taking inherent to the move. Hit him with all you got. But when you explained your reasoning there, you sold me. So I don't want to argue anymore.
with stop holding back, or...
I think it could be take a risk or stop holding back. Those are the two I'm leaning towards. But take a risk sounds about right.
Okay. Anyone else have thoughts? Concerns?
Your mom's?
Your mom's?
Oh,
all right. Guys. Then in that case, I'm gonna... What? I'm gonna use take a risk then. Uncanny parkour. imagine things to life. We kill pirates, bangarang, crow call. Can't tell adults from pirates. And home is where you make it.
That's a hell of a lot of tags going into this particular.
Well, there's a negative in there. So I have right now I'm at 5. So I'm sure you have a negative to throw at me as well.
Well, no, I don't have a negative in respects to the hospital scene or something.
Okay.
I want to argue at the same. I want to argue with a couple of those tags, but at the same time,
no, go ahead. Go right ahead.
No, it's. I want to argue, but at the same time, they all make sense in the take a risk situation, right? If it was anything else, I would definitely want to go with it. But I think because this is a risk, absolutely, go ahead and roll it then.
Okay. So this should be a +5.
Yep. So it's 14.
Yeah.
Because character sheet and
because my life is broken.
Your life is broken. So describe to me what happens.
Yeah, so I perform a daring, risky, or outright stupid role. So basically, I assume this is like a your typical embalming room, right, for the dead. And he bashes the door in, sees these people, sees the wires, the IV, the drips, and he draws the sword, and it makes this shing as it leaves the scabbard, and he just charges in. And he's darting between tables, like flying up, jumping off of walls, and he's just wreaking havoc. Whether he hits a person or objects, he's just destroying things in this room. So how much damage that does to people, I don't know. That's up to you, Johnny. But he is swinging an actual sword at living, well, as far as he's concerned, living people, and is trying to do anything in his power to cut them down, to say it slightly.
Blades sort of just going willy-nilly. You cut through various items in this place. For whatever reason, the sword just goes through, passes through metal, wood, glass. Things slice, shatter, crash. Both of them turn as your blade, continues to kind of sweep forward. Because they're turning towards you, you know that they're living people. Do you stop?
No.
You do anything? Blade continues to slice through. Blood spews as blade slices through muscle and bone. As blood just kind of just coalesces around the skull as he kind of just drops. And then in the light, this woman's, the screams and just begins to run, but your blade is just continuing to, as blood is spattering everywhere. Blade goes through her as well. It's cutting her down as she just kind of falls, crumpling forward as the blade just cut her, a couple of times on the back. And the blood is beginning to kind of pool under her. Once both of them are down, you kind of take in the situation, just ready to make the attack again, and you look back over and you see Slightly there. And he is splattered with blood and still asleep. And that's where we're going to cut to Flora.
Everybody has that reaction when he cuts. Everybody's like, oh.
Flora, you see that the captain is completely engaged now. He is running back down. He's like, what did you do? And he takes another slice at the tentacle as it's leaving, and the skin just turns more gross and begins to sort of dissolve as it just kind of just coalesces, and the flesh is sort of melting on the deck. Ship is still cracking and creaking from the pressure that's coming on around it, but it's clear that something is going on with the crack.
While he's asking her, she is filling up her syringes again. She just has one in her neck. She has one in her leg. She's just as quickly as she can re-upping because it seems to have done something. And she throws. No, she doesn't.
You're re-upping your. That's funny. That's a funny way to describe it. I like it.
Reloading her weapons. Yeah, so you just see her with like a needle in her neck and a needle in her leg, and she's like drawing it, and she's just like, we'll have time to talk about that later. Just don't touch my blood or anything that I'm putting on this. Bad.
Blades.
She just like
blade slicing. Okay, so his blade is slicing as he kind of looks at you, And he chops down, and a piece of the Kraken tentacle comes and starts to kind of flop, and then just lays there as the rest of the tentacle just kind of pulls into the back. And the thing starts to dissolve right in front of your eyes. I never thought hope would come in the form of I don't even know what you are. And he turns.
I'm a pirate. Look at my hat.
He starts to rally them as he looks over at you, and not any pirate I've ever met. And they move in for the attack as another tentacle kind of comes and slams down. And as it slams down, you can see that the coloration is starting to change on the skin. It's starting to get grosser and not greener, but more yellow and just sort of
Sickly.
weird. Yes, very sickly. What are you going to do?
To the captain again. Slice Amata, and she like gives him instruction that you would give like a medical student on how to like flay skin open to like diagnose a corpse, like if you needed to like look at one of the lower levels. And so she would just like give me an entry point for these. And she holds up the needle and waits for him to strike because she has two in her hands. So she's just gonna pump this thing full of venom as much as she can.
Okay. The syringes begin to plunge into it, and as you're kind of, actually, I would like you to roll me a hit him with all you got for this.
Okay. Same tags.
Sure.
I'm gonna use. I haven't been using my coroner kit, which is how I got these. So I'm going to add that.
Okay, sounds good.
Actually, I'm going to reset this because it's not working again. Slightly frustrated. And then I'm going to take all alone off. Because I think she's found someone who at least trusts her enough to, Do you think I should leave it on because I don't know him very well?
No, I think it's perfectly fine to bring it off.
Okay. And then -1.
Great success. Okay, so your syringes kind of plunge into the tentacle, and then immediately he kind of slices just beyond that, or just beyond your point, cutting off another tip of the tentacle as it gets pulled, and this time it's really slowly just kind of being pulled back. But as the tentacle just kind of flops off, and you get a moment to just enjoy the fact that it looks like you're winning, and he kind of smiles at you, there's a shift in the boat, and a crack begins to appear on the deck. And he looks down. It's still going to happen. And he looks at you. How did you get here again? Tell me, as another tentacle comes up and he starts to slice at it. Tell me quickly, how did you get here again?
There was a portal. She looks over to one of the guys. She grabs like a cloth or something nearby. Is there something nearby that I can grab, like a piece of the sail or something to wrap these needles in? She's going to hand them off to one of the other guys. Slice, inject, like one of the people that has been near her and seen them do it. And she's going to motion to the captain to follow her, and she's going to go back to where she appeared on the ship. She's going to say, she's going to like go to grab his arm and be like, don't touch me. That's probably a better idea. And then she just, like, remembering that she doesn't have her gloves on, leads him.
Okay, as the both of you are making your way up, the crack begins to widen behind you, and you can hear the ship itself beginning to, the noise of the ship beginning to kind of crumble a little bit around you as its form is beginning to lose its structure. The structure is beginning to lose its rigidity, and the cracks are beginning to flow all over the place as another tentacle comes up and is slamming the last of the masts just out of the way. But as it does, it's kind of languidly, and it's not as much. So the impact only causes it to kind of crack a little bit and just kind of, instead of it being straight up, it's like tipped like this instead of completely down. And the tentacle kind of gets pulled back in as the two of you run up towards the helm deck. And as you do, you see that there is a faint glow right where it was before when you arrived on the ship. And he looks at you and he says, I don't see anything. What are you talking about? What am I doing here?
She's going to tear off part of her shirt at the bottom and grab his arm with her hand wrapped so she doesn't get blood on him. And she's going to try to pull him through it. She might walk right through it, but she's going to try to walk through it holding him.
All right. Roll a change the game.
Okay.
In this particular case, I'm going to need you to argue for me every power tag that you want to use.
Yep. I'm going to use access anywhere.
Okay. Access anywhere because why?
I would say because she thinks she can get in wherever she wants, and if she's confident enough about it, usually in her work, she can kind of bullshit her way into any situation. So I think she's confident that she's able to get through.
Perfect. Absolutely agree. What else?
She's still a meat shield because she's trying to save him, now that she knows how important he might be to someone.
Okay.
I'm going to do ragdoll because she's bleeding out, and she's still fine-ish.
Okay.
And Dead of Night, for obvious reasons.
Okay.
That's about it.
All right. So there is a negative story tag of it's only a dream.
Okay.
And there is also another negative story tag of, that's the way I want to describe this. None shall pass.
Fuck that shit, we're going. Change a game?
Yep.
Huzzah!
Okay. Here's what's going to happen here. You're going to get 3 juice to spend. He's not going with you, but you're going to get something significant to take with you. And it's going to persist. And you're going to be able to use it to tell whatever story you want to tell about this situation. So choose wisely what you want to bring with you here, because it will have an impact for Malcolm later.
So without arguing it, is the hat coming with me? Without arguing it, because it's on me? All my corner stuff came with me the one way. I just want the hat.
The hat is coming with you.
That's what I have to argue. That's fine. I'll use one.
No, the hat is coming with you. I'm not going to argue that at all. Colin K is not coming with you through this, but you are going to be able to bring something with you that has significance.
Did he maybe
find your way back?
Put that picture. Maybe I took that picture from the desk when I went back in to get the hat.
Okay. And so you begin to pull him through, right, with you, as the ship is beginning to sort of crumble in the back, right, in the background. And you grab him with with your clothed hand, and you pull him through, and both of you reappear on the other side. And he looks around. How did I get here?
I told you. I walked through a portal. I wasn't making it up.
I haven't seen the sun in a long time. And he looks up. I see the moon. I haven't seen the moon in a long time. Is this a city? And he looks off in the distance. You can see the high rises of downtown, just sort of like off in the distance.
Someone here led me to you. I have reason to believe it's someone equally important to your wife.
And you can see that the portal is still there. The shining light of the portal is still sort of off in the right behind the two of you, and you can hear the cracking of the ship as you hear a scream of some kind from somebody on that ship. And with a loud sort of crumbling sound, you hear one final groan of the wood as it all cracks. And when that happens, he starts to fade a little bit. And he kind of looks at himself. Who do you think that? Why does this matter? What's happening to me?
She pulls out the picture and holds it up just so that he can see it, not close enough for him to take it away from her.
As he reaches out, he's still when you pull it out, he reaches out and his hand passes through it.
She points at the young boy in the picture and says, I'm gonna come back for you with him.
And he looks at you, and his eyes grow wide as his form becomes even more incorporeal as he begins to really fade. And just before he fades away completely, he says, Malcolm? And he fades. And then the portal just sort of begins to diminish itself as the glow begins to just sort of wink out.
I have goosebumps right now. Like I thought
And you're left there sort of alone in this fairy circle, in this meadow. And there's a faint smell of sea air. As you can see that the sun is just beginning to rise off in the distance. Held in your hand is that picture. And it feels heavier than the first time that you took it. And as the sun kind of shines, as it rises and it sort of shines on, it's clearly Malcolm. Just very young. And the girl looks a lot like him too.
She's gonna open her phone, take a picture of it, and text it to JP.
And with that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We need to talk.
Awesome. And with that, we're going to cut to JP and Scratch.
So, man. So he answered the question. I called him full of shit.
He said the kids were at the warehouse.
And that he was going to go there. So JP is going to look at him. His eyes are still like doing that glowy, fiery thing in the smoke. Looks very odd. He's going to say, did you hurt those kids?
They never get hurt. Not by my hands, anyway.
So if we was to show up at this warehouse, I'm not taking it. It'd be a fun time for either side.
Shakes his head. Beauregard, you just do not remember. You just don't remember those fun times. I'm gonna have to fix that for you.
You keep calling them fun, but I feel like if it was really that fun, I'd remember.
You see, that's the thing. When you go out of my employ, you go out into the real world, I can't help you. I can't help you hold on to your real life. Here, let me show you. He grabs a bottle, pours you a drink of whiskey, and he slides it across to you.
What am I supposed to do with this, Sam? What's a drink gonna do to me? You know I'm not gonna fish.
Take a chance.
He's gonna take a sip while staring straight at him like, come on.
Face danger.
I knew it. I just did it anyway. And I don't really have anything that's gonna help me here, so fuck it. Warp.
You didn't roll any. You didn't want to add any power attacks to that.
I don't really.
I mean, I'll take it if you want to take straight roll, but
Man, I really don't. I don't have anything that I feel would apply, or maybe I do, and I'm just not seeing it. I don't.
is there anything that you think as a power attack? I'm going to take a look at your character sheet, but do you have anything that you think is like sort of a situation where it would help you or like mentally
Like
be in control?
Mental fortitude.
Yes. Okay, I'm pulling up Scratch's sheet right now.
Not really.
Wow. Holy shit. I don't actually think any of your power attacks actually apply here.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not. I don't think I put any kind of defense against the dark brain arts, so to speak. So
this is actually kind of interesting. Okay. So here's what happens.
Whiskey, my only weakness.
You take a sip. It kind of jolts you a little bit, and you have a flash of something. But you feel this overwhelming desire to take more. And so you down the entire thing, you slam it. And when you do, a whole flood of memories just kind of come back of all the dirty, dark, seedy things that you did when working for Samuel. And included in them is running a couple of these games and enticing Malcolm to play. And each of these kids, most of them survived, a couple of them didn't. But when they did survive, they usually became a part of Samuel's gang, part of his family. And sometimes it would go a little south, and then they would just be a different sort of family. But you have all these flashes just sort of going on through your head, and it just sort of plays out, and this awareness. JP, you're watching this. You see shock at first on Scratch's face, and then you see just awareness sort of play across it as the weight of everything just kind of plays back into his head. And you just see as you see this happening on his face, you look over at Samuel, and Samuel's just smiling, kind of sitting back.
Huh. All right. So as Scratch is freaking out, yeah, he's just gonna pound his fist on the table, and single tear just rolls down his face. He's just gonna look at Sammy right in the eyes. Fuck you.
Looks over at JP, smiles, and says, "You better be careful with this one, son. It's the devil you know. It's the devil you know." And he shakes his head. He slides back from the table. "Now, boys, if you don't mind, I have some actual business to take care of now that the night's events are done."
Yeah, Scratch isn't gonna let him like finish the rest of that sentence. He's just gonna get up and grab Sam by like the collar. "Come on!" And just start fucking walking out the door.
Yeah, I'm ready to. I'm not trying to hang out here. I'm down. Yeah.
And so as Scratch just kind of pushes his way out the door, and JP steps up and he kind of looks, kind of assesses the situation and begins to follow Scratch along, Samuel calls out to him and says, "John Paul, that's right. That's what you call yourself? Is that correct?"
That's my name.
Don't worry.
He kind of smiles and he says, if you ever want to know the truth, I think you need to ask my friend, Mr. Gong. Anytime you want to know, I'll do you a favor. You'll do me a favor. But I'll make that introduction when you're ready. And he just kind of smiles. And when he smiles, his teeth are incredibly white. And he just gives you that sort of sinister look.
JP just mean mugs him as he walks out the door with the glowing gold eyes. Just doesn't say anything.
So as the two of you step out back into the crossroads, the place is mostly empty now. And the bartender's behind looking at Scratch. Everything go okay?
Scratch isn't going to say anything. But as he's walking out, he's going to grab a bottle of whiskey and just keep on walking.
Thought you give up the stuff there, Scratch.
I thought I gave up a lot of things.
And he says this while he's beelining towards the door.
And as JP is kind of following along, bartender catches your eye, kind of waves you over.
Me over or Scratch?
It waves JP over.
Yeah, JP approach.
He looks at you and he says, you need to be careful with that one. When he gets on his whiskey, devil may care. Shakes his head. Devil may care.
As I said before, devils, gods, angels, demons, all just seem to be different names. I'll take care of it.
Before he takes care of you.
If the stories are to be believed, it wouldn't be the first devil to try. I guess we'll have to find out.
He looks at you kind of full on for the first time. Don't take Samuel up on his offer. And we're going to cut to Malcolm. Flying back with Slightly.
Yeah. So I guess before he's flying back, you would see the seed of destruction in this pseudo hospital room, and Mr. G's sword clatters to the ground, and he leaves it there as he scoops up Slightly, and just sort of not understanding, just sort of pulls him, and like the hoses sort of disconnect as he goes, and then he flies back to the warehouse.
Slightly wakes up just in mid-flight and realizes that he's splattered with blood and kind of, Malcolm, whoa! What? How are we flying?
Surprise!
Malcolm, why am I covered in blood?
I think it got off of me and onto you.
Did you get cut?
No.
Do we need to visit the Windy Lady so she can make it better?
No. I think I need to visit the Flora Lady, but they were bad guys that had you, and I had to fight them all.
Wow, bad guys. Were
Yeah.
they pirates?
I think so. They were big.
Malcolm, you like to fight pirates. You don't sound very excited.
You know, I fought a lot of pirates today. I'm really tired.
Is it another night where you're going to meet Gideon? Where's Gideon?
I don't know. Oh, I know it's not true. I know where Gideon is, but I had to find you, and I had to find the twin, and I had to find Tink, and now I have to find the Flora Lady, and I have to find JP, and I have to find the new Scratch guy, and I just have to find everybody. But you guys have to be safe, and you have to stay in the warehouse, and you have to stay together, and you have to keep the door closed, and then I'll find everyone.
Okay.
Okay. And he sort of like lands, I assume, like outside the warehouse.
All right. And so when you swing the door open, there are crowds of kids there.
Okay. So yeah, he
Just kind of swarms around you.
and Malcolm's probably covered in blood. But he deposits slightly down. He says, okay, listen, I need everyone to stay here. Everyone has to protect everyone else. I have to go find the floor lady and Scratch and JP. He's not a ninja still. And I gotta find them all. And they were supposed to be at the house, and they weren't at the house. And the floor lady was supposed to be back by now, and she's not back by now. And I can't find Gideon unless I find everyone else. And then we have to build a boat. We gotta build the boat. Okay, you guys finish the boat. And he like tiredly closes the massive wall-sized door. And I think he's gonna go find Flora first because he knows where she's supposed to be. Because JP and Scratch were not where they were supposed to be. So yeah, he's gonna fly towards where he remembers Flora to be.
All right, Flora, where are you after you send that text? Is it the kind of thing where Malcolm's going to run into you?
I think she would hang around for a minute or two, just to wait until her wounds heal. So she's just kind of using the rag that she had tried to or pulled him through with, and she's just wiping off her arms. And I think she would send a group text and just say, my place. And she's going to head home.
Okay, so as you're beginning to exit out of the meadow where the fairy circle was, you see Malcolm sort of in the distance, beginning to descend towards you as the sun is continuing to rise.
She picks her gloves off where she left them in the dirt. She kind of like gives them a little 1-2 shake and then starts putting them back on. And just waits for him to fly over. She puts the picture in her bag.
So while Johnny explodes, Malcolm lands, and you see that, like, I think probably the first thing you see is the fact that he's covered in blood, and then the second thing you see is the fact that he looks exhausted, and you've never seen Malcolm exhausted, and he just sort of walks over to you and he says, "What are you doing?"
I went through the portal that I told you not to go through.
Why? I had to find everyone by myself, and now I can't find Scratch and I can't find JP.
I just texted them.
Okay, well, they weren't at the house.
They'll meet us at my house.
No. We have to go make sure everyone's okay.
Malcolm, we've been through a lot. We're allowed to take a little break. She just looks emotionally drained and just not 100% there.
He just looks confused at you, and he says, he like blinks a few times, and then looks at you and says, "Fine, you take a break. I'll keep doing everything." And he goes to turn to walk away.
And you'll never hear about me fighting a kraken.
I fight him all the time.
Away.
And he starts to, if she doesn't follow him or do anything, he starts to take off.
Nope, she's just gonna go home.
And he heads back towards the, he heads back to the warehouse because he has no idea where the hell JP and Scratch would be.
Okay.
Malcolm,
So-
his phone, Flicker's phone would buzz in his pocket when she texted.
Okay. So we're going to cut back to JP and Scratch as Flora's texts are finally, or JP finally gets a chance to check Flora's texts. First, the one privately to him, and then the one to the group about going to her house.
I'm going to show Scratch the text and just be like, come on.
Man, I don't know if Scratch would go with you.
Say that.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
The whiskey is probably burning in his blood at this point.
Yeah. With all due respect, JP, I'm gonna need to go home and have a good hard think.
You know, Scratch, like it or not, you're involved in all this now.
Yeah, well, things have changed, and I'm a little more involved than you may know. I need some time to gather my thoughts and figure out my next plan of action.
All right. I trust you. Take care of yourself.
You too, man. You too.
Got my number. Let me know if you need help.
How far are we away from the club?
Well, you're in the old quarter. Crossroads is in the old quarter. You got to walk a hell of a long way to Xanadu, or you need to take an Apollo.
Scratch is going to take a couple of steps in the direction of his house and then stop and kind of look back at JP.
Do you mind?
I thought you said...
I know what I said, but things have changed.
Is it... I cannot say anything if that'll help.
What'll help is if you get me home now.
All right. JP just like bends down and climb up on his back.
Yeah, and as Scratch is getting on, he's gonna be like,
But yeah, don't say nothing.
On my filthy back.
JP just like looks back and is just like, and then just jumps him back.
you just got to picture like Elwood Blues riding some, dude through the air.
Phrasing? So we're going to cut to JP and Scratch arriving at the entrance of Xanadu. The sun is just sort of creeping past the horizon and rising into the sky as the both of you arrive. And Scratch, you're deposited in front. And just before you decide to say goodbye and jump away, JP, you feel your phone buzz again.
Check it.
Xanadu, 8 p.m. Signed F.
Okay. Good. So I guess I'll go to Flores because clearly I'm not sleeping.
I said 8 p.m., not 8 a.m.
No, I know, but I mean, like, I gotta go see Flora, and then I'm gonna have to do stuff during the day, and then I gotta be Fadi at 8. So, oh wait, I figured out. There are two Fs. Half of the people I work with have F names.
Well, F them. Goodbye, Mike.
Is that it?
I guess we'll fade on you jumping directly to I guess we'll just fade on you jumping towards Flora's place. And we'll just sort of call that the end.
That was intense.
It was too intense.
That was a good game.
Freaking like jumping back and forth with the card game was fucking with my head. Oh my god.
So I will say, I said in chat earlier, so Johnny, I'm going to give the first big kudos to you. I know how much of a pain in the ass it is to split the party as a DM and have to jump back and forth between those two things and give everyone equal screen time. 10 out of 10, well done. Awesome scene framing. Awesome points to cut at. Very, very well executed, and that is the shittiest tool in a DM's toolbox. I hate doing it.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Listen,
you're so sweet. There, Johnny.
Yeah. Listen, I rarely give you compliments and almost always shit on you.
You always shit on me, so I don't know how to take it. So I'm just gonna go fuck you. All right.
You can take it like JP did.
You mean take it like a woman? I mean a man. Sorry.
Yeah, one of the two. So guys, that was episode 4 of season 2, and I called it Just a Game. So this was on multiple levels. This worked, and I thought this was pretty good. So let's jump around, introduce our cast and crew, hear what's going on later on in the week, and let's get the hell out of here. So first, we'll go with Johnny. Johnny, who are you? Where can we find you? And what did you think of today's episode?
Johnny Video Store Cowboy everywhere except Twitter, where it's Vid Store Cowboy. Tomorrow night over on Not So Speedrun for Team Esper, usually on my channel as well, although we've been having trouble the last 2 weeks getting actual episode out, so hopefully that gets scheduled. What did I think about tonight? I really liked how each of the stories kind of played out. I was a little surprised at how much of a one-man army Malcolm really is. I thought that Flora's handling of the situation on the ship was really kind of exciting, especially given the fact that the roles really changed what I had in mind, and she now gets to bring back something that's going to shake up the story a little bit that I had planned for Malcolm, which I think is really, really cool. It was unexpected that she went to the ship, and it's unexpected that she came back with the item that she did. So that storyline has been really fun. And then kudos to Sam and Frags. The interactions with Samuel were always going to be interesting, but you guys handled it fucking awesome. So good job, guys.
Hell yeah.
That was fun.
I enjoyed the hell out of that. Let's jump over to Miss Ninja. I loved your scene on the boat. I loved how that went. That was super cool. And I know exactly how I'm going to react if I ever see that picture. And I'm excited for it because it's drama and I love it. So, Miss Ninja, who are you? Where can we find you? And what did you think of tonight's episode?
My handle is Xmas Ginger Ninja across pretty much everything. I had a lot of fun tonight. I liked fucking around and living a pirate's life and getting to do gross, creepy things. And I think that next week should be interesting. JP's kind of turning into a little bit more of an asshole.
JP's just taking on more and more Sam every week is the issue, I think, here.
JP is evolving again. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
But so is Flora. So that's what's really cool about what you guys are doing. So.
Go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I'm interrupting you.
No. Sorry.
Go ahead, because I was just going to finish on something.
I lost the thought.
Well, I agree that Johnny did a really good job of having it bounce around between characters, and like everything was perfectly timed. Everything was kind of wrapped up nicely, so we're all like able to meet up again and are at least on the same plane of existence right now. But yeah, you did a really good job.
Thank you.
Sweet deal. Yeah, let's jump over to Sam. Who are you? Where can we find you? And what did you think about tonight's episode?
I'm Sam, twitch.tv/WizandFool, Twitter @TheWizandFool. I had a great time. I was like super tense about that whole card game thing. Was super, super fun. I liked getting to tell a mob boss that he was full of horse shit. That was a good moment. Yeah, I think that was nice that we got to see a little bit more. You know, we've been exploring a little bit more of like the mythos past, but we haven't really talked a lot about like what JP kind of what his life before coming to Metropolis looked like. And so I liked kind of getting to express that a little bit, kind of showing a little bit, you know, how and why he is a trusting person that he is. And I'm super excited to see where things go because I have no idea what's going to happen with this whole Malcolm's dad thing. It's a lot. There's a lot going on right now, guys. I don't know if you watch the show, but a lot is happening.
Yeah, I super love the interaction between you and Samuel. That was pretty dope. And I do like the darker side of JP is getting pretty cool. Speaking of the darker side, let's go to Katie Frags. Who are you? Where can we find you? And what did you think about today's episode?
Well, it was fun. Got into a little bit of Scratch's mystery, and I don't know. Like I didn't really have, you know. I guess you never really make plans for what's gonna happen, but I didn't know that I was gonna react the way I did. I just kind of I played it by ear and did what I thought Scratch would do. and I don't know, it was fun. I liked bringing JP along. Hopefully he doesn't soil my good name. I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do with the whiskey yet, but I enjoyed all of it. I liked the cuts and everything. And though Mike may not always compliment you, Johnny, I will never hesitate to talk about how awesome your ponytail is.
Frags, are you telling me that you just want to grab it and kind of hold on? And
Right. Sam's only the first one I'm riding out of this group.
It's JP,
You're
and
next,
Scratch,
buddy.
and Johnny on top.
Yeah. 3-man stack, baby.
We'll just get a nice puppy pile going in. We'll have a good time.
Cuddle puddle.
How do you just delete a Twitch channel? So, that was episode 4 of 6&Twenty Metropolis. Fuck you, Frags. God damn it. That was episode 4, Just a Game. That was a dope session. I enjoyed every part of that, guys. That was super awesome. Be sure to follow Johnny. Be sure to follow Not So Speedruns over on their channels. Be sure to follow all of the cast here. And if you guys want to see more of us, check us out on Twitter, our Discord. And if you like what you saw here today and you want to see more of that, we have an entire archive of all of our old stuff up on YouTube. I highly encourage you to go follow YouTube and check out the old videos. They are equally awesome. But we are going to be back tomorrow for Havoc in the Hinterlands, which is a campaign that's wrapping up, and I'm excited to see how that ends. That's not true. I know exactly how it ends. It's going to be fucking awesome. And then I don't think I'm streaming this weekend, but stay tuned on our Discord if you want to see more. But for now, we're going to go raid our friend Madam Gandalf, who is currently playing, I believe, a 5e version of The Witcher. So go check that. Yeah.
It is a 5e version that I believe it's Slade that actually did a bunch of modification stuff.
That is true, yeah. Slade from Crit Dice Gaming used to be on the 6&Twenty Blades in the Dark game, so definitely go check those guys out. And yeah, bye-bye, everybody.
Later, bitches.